he may say or kind of allude to Bill Joyner not being the problem, but then that doesn't make a ton of sense because of the fact that he participates in all of this, like, harassing and stalking of Bill Joyner.
D, I hope Mr. Joyner is happy and that he gets all that he is after and all that he deserves, and I intend to make sure of that.
That's a direct threat. That's insane.
Yeah, that is crazy. Okay, E, I hope Joyner is happy, as he will pay dearly for what he has done. By the way, he just says like a bunch of these sorts of phrases in the documentary themselves. F, I'm surprised that Bill Joyner continues to jeopardize his livelihood and personal freedom. Okay. By continuing to steal our family home through verifiable fraudulent recorded documents. How can Mr. Joyner sleep at night having to constantly look over his shoulder? Not a good way to live your life, as the Lord is also taking inventory of what is going on here. You are all warned.
So yeah, we've got like a lot to cover tonight in terms of Andrew Callahan. So I was first alerted to this because Chud covered it, and I think also Queeman covered it, but Chud actually watched the documentary. So I'll kind of explain things to you guys as we go on, but the unfortunate reality is I'm not going to be able to show you the documentary. Okay? The documentary is paywalled, and let's be honest, if I try to watch it on YouTube, I'm going to get raped. Okay? Now, when I am finally able to get a new PC set up, you know, we will... Cryptmex can come after me for this stream. True. But, you know, when I finally have my new PC set up, I'm going to dual stream on Kick every stream, and then we'll have, like, Kick exclusive streams where I can do stuff like watch paywall content without worrying about it. But we're not there yet. So, unfortunately, that cannot happen today. But we watched this documentary behind the scenes, which is what all of this is about, okay? We watched this documentary behind the scenes and took notes on it so that we can share them with you today. And we can kind of give you guys a rundown so you guys aren't in the dark in what we're talking about, okay? Because I know that probably the vast majority of you haven't seen the documentary, which is fine. So unfortunately, we have another reckless Ben situation, or, you know, that's one way of putting it. Another way you could put it is, you know, we just have another person who is kind of obfuscating details around their involvements in a situation and is now facing legal repercussions because of it and is denying everything. Okay? That's what's happening today. So, Andrew Callahan. Let's start with that. Let's start easy, right? For anybody who doesn't know who Andrew Callahan is, I'm going to be a bit surprised if you don't know who he is, but whatever. Andrew Callahan. Let me find. Oh, shit, I didn't even realize Nick had released a new video. I'm going to have to watch that tomorrow. Okay. So, Andrew Callahan has this channel with, you know, 3.5 million subscribers. He's got a huge cult following, okay? He does all sorts of kind of interview / documentary sort of content. I found myself enjoying some of his stuff in the past, especially back when he started in about 2020, 2021 range. Is when I really started watching him. But he did a documentary recently that is exclusive to a website that you have to pay for the documentary to view. It's also for free if you use this promo code that we'll see in his response video. I'm not going to directly shout it out because that feels a little weird. It's just a live stream highlight. Oh, okay. Well, I'll still check it out, man. Didn't that guy sexually assault someone? He has sexual assault allegations with, I think, multiple women. Maybe just one, though. We're still kind of putting the pieces together on that. Because we are putting the Z-Man video and the Internet Adjacent video aside for now, because those are not super time sensitive. And this is going to be our next video. This is our next video. And by the time we're done with this stream, you're going to understand why. So this guy released a documentary called Dear Kelly. That's what it's called. Dear Kelly. Right? And it's a follow-up on a QAnon sort of guy, like one of those like very like radical right QAnon sort of people that Andrew interviewed back in, I think, either 2020 or 2021. Okay? And this documentary tries to get to know this Kelly guy better, right? Here's the problem. As a result of this documentary, he is being sued by a completely different guy named Bill Joyner. Now, the way that Andrew presents it, which we'll go over in a second, the way that Andrew presents it in his video, We're Being Sued, is that Bill Joyner is a tiny, tiny, tiny part of the documentary. Barely a footnote, essentially. Like, oh, well, he's not what it's really about. Here's the problem, though. This Kelly guy that he follows around the whole time is literally obsessed, like violently obsessed with Bill Joyner. There are some lines that Kelly has in there where he says that if Bill Joyner, or if we were in the old times, he would have just shot and killed Bill Joyner. There is multiple times at which Bill Joyner says that that Kelly says that Bill Joyner is a domestic terrorist. And within the first 5 minutes of the documentary, we hear Kelly yelling about Bill Joyner, right? So already the way that he is presenting this is a little deceptive, okay? So I have some notes that we'll go over here. As I said, in the first 5 minutes, Bill Joyner's mentioned. And for who Bill Joyner is and why Kelly is obsessed with him, well, Kelly says that Bill Joyner stole his house. Here's what actually happened. What actually happened is that Bill Joyner is a creditor, okay? So you can get loans from the guy, right? Now, say what you will about what I'm about to say. You can say that this is predatory. You can say that it's predatory loans. Do what you want with that, okay? I'm not trying to come here and say that Bill Joyner is a good man, okay? But from everything I've seen, doesn't seem like he's too bad of a guy. So he's a creditor, right? Kelly got into a loan with Bill Joyner. I think it was for $50,000. Maybe more. At least $50K. Okay. Then, here's the problem, though. That was really bad. Thank you, Charles Van Pamel, for subscribing. But here's the problem. In the middle of all of this, when he's supposed to start paying back the money, he doesn't. He just doesn't. Okay. On top of that, he stops working entirely. He just stops working. He's not working anymore. He's not paying his own bills. And he's certainly not paying for the credit that he got. So what happens? Eventually, Bill Joyner gives him every chance to pay this back or to even start paying it back. But then he repossesses the house, right? Because that's how it works. Or not repossesses, but he possesses the house as part of like the collateral and stuff, right? That's how it works. Like, again, you guys can say it's scummy, right? Like, totally fine. If you want to say it's a scummy business practice, you want to say it's predatory, whatever you want to say, that's totally fine. But like, I have a secret. Kelly, guess what his occupation was before he got fired? He was a bankruptcy attorney. Okay? So this guy knows all about this kind of stuff. And yet he willingly got into this deal. Fucking dumbass. And then clearly along the way, he's experienced some form of psychosis because he's fucking batshit now, this Kelly guy. So, yeah, I don't really have too much sympathy for Kelly. I'm sorry. I have sympathy for his family, but get a job. You know what I mean? If you can't pay bills for your family, get a fucking job, right? I feel like that's not too crazy. So, either way, let me kind of explain some of the hijinks here. And to clarify, Andrew's being sued for stalking, wiretapping, and a couple of other things. They get into it in the response video, which we'll watch in just a second. But I want to start with kind of a recounting of the documentary so you can start to understand how fucking ridiculous this is, okay? So, first of all, in the beginning, like you would mostly see in documentaries like this, like, you guys know South Park, right? Hold on. Let me just show you this. Let me give you a good example here. Here it is. So, this isn't the same kind of thing, but you get the idea, right? All characters and events in this game, even those based on real people, are entirely fictional. All celebrity voices are impersonated poorly. The following game contains coarse language, blah, 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 right? It's good to have a legal disclaimer if you're going to talk about a real person. It's always good. It's always good to say stuff like, I do not condone any of the stuff said by Kelly. I do not approve of any of the stuff said by Kelly. These are all allegations, and we are not presenting them as fact, right? He has no legal disclaimer. The only thing that he pushes back on is the fact that Bill Joyner took the house legally. Everything else, he just kind of lets Kelly say whatever the fuck he wants about, Bill Joyner being a domestic terrorist, Bill Joyner being evil, Bill Joyner, like, being friends with Hillary Clinton, like, all of this crazy shit, okay? And let's be honest, guys. That's the most defamatory statement of them all so far that I've heard. Being friends with Hillary Clinton? Are you fucking kidding me? No. Fuck no. I would sue too. I would totally sue. Right? Okay. So, what's even funnier about this is, as I said before, Andrew frames it in his response as if it's only a tiny, like, part of the documentary. It's a minor part of the documentary. Within the first few minutes, right after Bill Joyner's mentioned for the second time, Andrew Callahan says something along the lines of, I'm paraphrasing here, so don't quote me on this, but something along the lines of, well, I'm sure you don't know who Bill Joyner is yet, but by the end of this documentary, you're going to know a lot about him. What? Okay. Accuse him of domestic terrorism, as we talked about. The whole reason this documentary exists, which is something that Andrew also says, is because of Bill Joyner, right? Now, the issue that all of us are going to have with this is, guess how much, I want you all to guess right now. I want you all to guess, as I'm continuing to recount this, I want you to guess how much money he's raised for this lawsuit. How much money on GoFundMe do you think that he has raised for this lawsuit? Go ahead and guess for me, okay? But I want to emphasize the fact that Andrew says that this lawsuit is entirely baseless and frivolous, okay? That's the important part about this, okay? Entirely baseless and frivolous, all right? Okay, so, but let's keep on going while you guys are guessing, and then whoever gets it right, I'm gonna shout you out, all right? The wiretap lawsuit was BS. Why not sue for slander? I don't know enough about the wiretap stuff yet, but I'll tell you what, some of this other stuff has some merit, like stalking. That has some merit. We'll get into that in a second. Yeah, I did already put it in the title. 1.4 million, okay? 2 million's a nicer number. 1.4 million dollars, guys. Now, guys, from our estimations, this is somebody who's making $400,000 from their Patreon alone every month. $400K every month off of Patreon. And we're crowdfunding this shit? Okay. Sure. It's fine. You can do that. I think you're entitled to. Fuck it. But when it's under weird pretenses, when it's being framed as something that it's not, I don't know about that. So let's keep on going. Here's another interesting aspect of this. They filed an anti-SLAPP motion, which, if you don't know, an anti-SLAPP is essentially to prevent big giant companies from getting down on the little guy, right? For unfair reasons. Well, guess what, guys? That anti-SLAPP motion got denied. Is it still frivolous? Is it still frivolous, guys? Maybe it could be. Let's keep on going. Though, right? So, anti-SLAPP motion's denied, right? Spindling left because he saw it was going to be serious, right? Anti-SLAPP is denied. And on top of that, this whole bullshit that Andrew's constantly touting, where he's like, oh, we're independent, we're indie, we're independent, guys, we're independent. Thank you, Cyber Gaming Punk, for subscribing. We're independent, guys. Like, we're just, like, independently run. This is just, like, me, like, doing it myself. Guess what? I did some digging. Let me share some stuff with you real quick. Let me share some stats with you. If you really think this guy is independent, you don't think this guy's an industry plan, okay? Let me share some stuff with you. Hold on. Let me see here. I'm scrolling through Fetty and I's messages here. Hold on. So, Andrew got his start when he signed on with the talent agency or, production company, Doing Things Media. So, Andrew has commonly framed the, RV that he travels around in and his whole little crew and all that kind of stuff, like being self-made and all that stuff. No, it was paid for by Doing Things Media, okay? After that, he went to Absolutely, which is Tim Heidecker's company, okay? So this guy's always had, like, foundational support from a company, okay? Thank you, Callaghan, for being a member for 5 months. I like the jacket, cool color, thank you. So let's keep on going, though. So the anti-SLAPP is denied. Judge thinks it's worth hearing, right? Andrew frames that as different, which is, of course, very interesting. It's also worth noting here that this isn't like a case of like a YouTuber or a public persona or someone like that who, you know, kind of has their business out in the public to a certain degree. Bill Joyner is a private citizen. He's not a celebrity. He's not an influencer. He's a fucking creditor, right? So, moving on. So, we already talked about the lending. Bankruptcy, attorney taking these loans. We already talked about that. Pushing. Okay, one of the really weird things about this documentary that bothered me a lot was there's this moment in there where they talk. This is almost directly after being like, Bill Joyner took everything from me. Bill Joyner just ruined my fucking life, and they took our house. Almost right after that, Andrew's like, I just want to show you some like family memories of Kelly. I just want to show you some family memories of him. And shows this like compilation of like Kelly before he got like divorced and he had like his family together. And it's this, it feels like this weird, like I'm not going to go as far as to say it definitively is, but what it feels like is this weird like implication almost that it's like, oh, look at what Bill Joyner did. Look at what Bill Joyner did. They tore apart this family. It's disgusting, right? They used to be so happy, and now they're divorced, and they don't have their house anymore. You know, that's the vibe that comes from it. It's like it's a nearly. I mean, Fetty, you can tell me if I'm wrong. It was nearly like 2 minutes long, right? Like that little compilation.
I think it was longer. I mean,
it might have been
like three different compilations.
Yeah.
In this like documentary,
they're slamming it into you. They really want you to feel sympathy for Kelly and his situation.
I do want to make a statement. He does push back, but it's like at the end of the documentary. Basically, he says, look, I've been taking a lot of what Kelly says sort of on face value, but the timeline for his job and him essentially getting disbarred, it seems like it's off. And so he asks the California Bar Association. He talks to a lawyer who was like familiar with his like how many like he had like 20 different complaints about like breaking like bar sort of like rules of conduct and this sort of thing. And then he had the timeline wrong, so he got disbarred, and then he couldn't make any money, and that's when he got the loan. And another thing you missed is that Bill Joyner, when he sends out the letter to Kelly, it's kind of like a Hail Mary. It's like this letter he gets in the mail. And I'm pretty sure he just like found his information by like buying it from these banks or whatever. Because he basically says like, I'm going to give you a loan that like no bank would give you. And after a 5-minute phone call, like I can give you up to like $5 million, which is like crazy. Right. So automatically, if I read some piece of mail that's sent to me like that, I would just think it's a scam.
Especially as a bankruptcy lawyer, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he talks to the ex-wife, and the ex-wife makes it pretty clear that he had a lot of different other options to go for. So one thing is that it seems like he owned the property originally when he was a lawyer, and then when he lost his practice, he essentially started withdrawing on the equity of the house, right? So you can buy a mortgage, and that's kind of like how you get your asset value and you turn it into like something more liquid, right? And it seemed like he was just getting his money out of the house value, which eventually you have to pay that back. That's not like something that you can immediately get unless you sell the house. Right. And so the wife was saying that he should have sold the house, but he never did that. Like they should have downsized. They should have found a job. Instead, he just tried to like keep the house as long as possible and just never got a job. So like there's no income like coming into his household.
I mean, Fetty, they were living where? Laguna Hills? Like they were living in a very expensive part of like SoCal area. Very expensive.
A nice house. It's a good house. It's 2 stories. It had like, I don't know, probably like at least 3 different bedrooms or something. So it was a pretty good house. And the crazy thing about this, I do want to make this clear. Andrew Callahan, this is like a good pushback against Kelly's narrative, but it never, he never like addresses Kelly calling him a domestic terrorist or.
Well, yeah, and I talked about that before you got here. So like, the one pushback. So you're right about the fact that he pushes back on the lawyer stuff. The only pushback that he gives about Bill though is saying that Bill legally acquired the house. That part's true, right? But everything else, he does not provide any pushback on. And as I'm about to talk about here, there is way more that Andrew did here that is just like preposterous in terms of like some of the actions.
I mean, the way that I would say it is I do think he gave good pushback in the sense that he doesn't endorse anything that Kelly's saying, but it's pretty clear that he almost like plays into his delusion. I think that's the best way to phrase it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Andrew joins Bill at a White Lives Matter protest, and there, Andrew joins Kelly, my bad. Joins Kelly at a White Lives Matter protest, and there, Kelly yells out Bill Joyner's full address, okay? There's no censorship of that either. So, I mean, I think that's doxing, but I don't know, man. Like, it's just like, what
he does this
doing?
like multiple times. Like,
because then there's the flyers too, right?
Yeah. So at one point in the documentary, he like goes up to random people and he's like, Bill Joyner lives over there. And then he just like points off screen and you like know where he's at. And then he just starts sending out flyers and it has like his home address on it. So I mean, this guy's crazy.
The guy's insane. And like Andrew's clearly just like, I mean, I'm not going to say, well, actually, yes, he is participating in it. But at that point, he's more just like from the sidelines watching and just not even, saying anything, not intervening, etc. So Kelly, one of the big things here, Kelly has never met Bill. Kelly's never met Bill Joyner. So Andrew's brilliant plan, okay, you're not going to fucking believe this. Andrew's brilliant plan, and again, this is a guy I said before, where Kelly literally verbatim says, if it were like back in the day, I would have just shot and killed him legally, right? But like this same guy, Andrew's brilliant plan is we should get Kelly and Bill in the same room so that they can talk it out. Are you fucking kidding me? This guy who is obsessed with Bill Joyner, who literally is constantly talking about him, constantly bringing him up, like, we should have them in the same room to talk. That makes so much sense.
Yeah, and this is like a whole segment of the documentary, by the way. This is like Andrew's like biggest plan. This is like his like genius idea. It's just like, yeah, let's get the two of these in a room, like a guy that you ripped off 10 years ago, someone that like has been harassing you for 10 years, just get in a room. We're going to like start harassing you. We're going to start sending you emails. We're going to start sending you, he sends a bouquet to his house. So he has like his home address is like sending him, like flowers and chocolates and this sort of thing. And then they start like going to his office and they try to like voice comm into his office. There's like a voice comm button. I don't know. It's like really crazy.
Well, and then we have like joke emails like this, which like, yes, it's a joke, but like the kind of behavior that he's like encouraging here is ridiculous. Hi,
and
Bill.
To be clear, he never sent this, but this is like in the
This is a joke email, but it's shown in the documentary. Yeah. Right. Hello, Bill. We've been watching you while you sleep. Sincerely, Kelly's Army. Great. Like, awesome. Okay. That's great. That's great.
And to be clear, this is like a joke. But later on, what they do is they realize Bill isn't going to talk to them. Like he's been ignoring every email. He's been ignoring all the physical mail. He's been ignoring the the talks with him and like his employees and like him going into his office and all that sort of stuff. So their genius idea, this is Andrew's idea, by the way, is that they're gonna buy ghillie suits. And
no. Wait, we're missing something. We're missing something. Because before that, so there's two different little things to that. First of all, Andrew, in this process of trying to get like to see Bill, when he's not answering the emails or stuff, joins this guy's country club in the hopes of like brushing shoulders with him. Okay? Yeah. So, and then after that, Andrew changes his plan and says, maybe they don't need to be like, like talking directly to each other. Maybe Kelly just needs to see him from a distance to realize that he's just a normal person. And like, when Fetty and I were watching this, I made the joke where I'm like, oh yeah, he's just got to be within safe shooting distance. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, this is...
Yeah, I don't even know the logic behind it. He's just like, yeah, if he sees him in real life, then he'll realize he's actually just a human being and not some sort of like evil demon that's like ruining his life. I don't know what he's trying to say there. It's like a bad excuse to like break into his like his like residential private property.
Well, yeah, tell them about the ghillie suits.
Yeah, so they buy ghillie suits and they like drive off in like a Porsche or something, and they start like going behind his house, and they try to like they're using binoculars to try to like see him. I don't know what the point of any of this is. Like it's very strange. Insane. And then they're just like, yeah, mission accomplished. And I'm like, what is the point of any of this? Yes. There's zero point to this. Okay, for all of Reckless Ben's faults, you know, at least he had a goal that like kind of made sense, and he had like logic behind like everything he was doing. This is a guy, and he's just like, yeah, let's come up with
Andrew was enabling Kelly
to stalk this guy at his home and like look into his like windows and stuff. Like, it's insane.
Thank you for the 2, by the way, Pink Circle. Yes, Andrew, every step of the way was enabling Kelly. Yes, absolutely. I mean, other than like that pushback at the very end. Yes. Like when they were actually hanging out and stuff like that. And here's a picture of the ghillie suits, just in case you didn't believe us. Okay, there you go.
I can find like a picture of them like stalking his house. Let me send it a screenshot. Anyways, you can.
Okay, perfect. But so, yeah, as I said before, like, you know, he said that he would kill him if it was back in the day. He says that Bill Joyner deserves to be hanged. He's not going to do it because societal standards have changed, meaning that like he doesn't actually have a problem with potentially killing the guy. It's literally just because of the society around him, right? Shows guns at the beginning of the video, like Bill Joyner does. So this guy's armed and clearly in some form of psychosis. Great combo. Definitely a guy that we should have around Bill Joyner in the same room as Bill, right? You know, and let me. Oh, here's another thing that they did. They were going to hire an actor to get Bill to meet him so they could talk to him and then bring the family together. I mean, there's just so many things here, right? Okay, so we talked about the...
Pimpleton, I sent you the screenshot.
Okay, perfect. Oh my god, dude. Dude, this is so fucking rough. Look at this.
Yeah, this is them. So in this clip, he says that it's too dark to actually see his house, but they're there. They're like behind his mansion. And this is what they're doing. Like they're like in the woods, like behind his mansion, trying to get a peek into his house. It's strange.
It's really fucking weird, dude. Bill Joyner says that he told Kelly to put the flyers down. Is there really much else? I mean, other than this, it's more just like the rest of this is kind of about like Kelly and being like a weird psychotic freak, right? Like they do like a family intervention with him and stuff, and like, you know, it's unsuccessful, blah blah blah, and you know.
So eventually, Kelly, like a year after they filmed all of this, he does kind of drop the Bill Joyner stuff, but then he like doubles down on like being a stream producer for like a conservative like talk show. So yeah. He like goes to all the Turning Point USA events and all that sort of thing.
Right. And yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much the summary, right?
Yep.
Did we miss anything? Yeah, I don't think we missed anything. I can see why he called Andrew a domestic terrorist. No, Bunglas. Kelly called Bill Joyner a domestic terrorist. Okay. No. Yeah. Okay, so let's actually get into this kind of response video / like, you know, the e-begging kind of thing here. And again, like, let me be clear. I have no problem with if you want to crowdfund your people, if you want to do that, that's whatever. I don't really have a problem with that. If you do it under false pretenses, though, or not necessarily even like that harsh, but like if you do it and you're claiming stuff about this lawsuit being frivolous and having no grounds, etc., and it turns out that's not true, that doesn't look great. That just doesn't look great, right? Let's check it out. Sorry. Hold on. So glad Crip Mac is here. Thank God. Thank God the retarded man is here. Okay.
Hey, cuz, hey, listen up. Channel 5 is getting sued by some costers. By some coster motherfuckers. And we need y'all help. I'm gonna let Andrew break it down.
Fuck Bill Joyner. That's not gonna happen.
What's up, guys? We are in a serious pickle right now. For the past 2.5 years, we over here at Channel 5 have been fighting a lawsuit in silence against a wealthy California lender named Bill Joyner, who I've never spoken to or seen in my life. Among other dubious claims, he accused Channel 5.
I haven't spoken to him or seen him in my life. I've just been outside of his house. Like,
Yeah, I've been trying to speak to him. I've been trying to see him for 2 years, but
yeah, I'm just like outside of his house in a fucking ghillie suit. Yeah.
Violating the Federal Wiretap Act and intercepting his electronic communications, which is something I've never done and don't know how to do.
Andrew don't know how to wiretap nobody, yeah?
On its face, it probably seems ridiculous to imagine me tapping phone lines through a third-party listening
okay, so
device and
pause. Like, notice how so far the complaint that he's focused on is the wiretapping complaint.
Right.
We have the full like legal complaint document that we can read later.
Yeah.
And like a lot of it is corroborated by what's shown in the documentary. So I don't feel like I feel like he didn't want people to read this and then watch the documentary, because if you just read these two things side by side, and you'll see it later, we already have some of the evidence for some of these complaints. So
right. And so like, you know, it's also interesting that Andrew focuses on what, on its face at least, seems to be the weakest complaint of like the wiretapping, right? Like, because when it comes to stuff like stalking, I think Andrew's gonna have a lot more problems, right? Maybe the wiretapping's weak. I don't know. I haven't read the legal documentation yet, and we'll kind of dive into it in a minute. But like, to me, it's kind of the most audacious claim, and he's able to hook onto it in this fact of being like, oh, well, how could I freaking wiretap? I'm not the CIA. You know? I don't know.
hiding out in a surveillance van near a 56-year-old boomer's house in Orange County. But in our beautiful, free country, somebody with enough money for good lawyers can sue anyone for anything at any time. And just maybe, if you get lucky, the judge will believe it. And that's exactly what happened here. Bill Joyner's
already, just framing this lawsuit as completely frivolous, complete bullshit.
Attorneys over at Murphy & Murphy somehow successfully, in my opinion, lied in federal court, convincing the 89-year-old judge who was appointed by Jimmy Carter in the early 70s to strike down all of our dismissal attempts and subsequent appeals.
So another thing I want you guys to notice is the fact that every line here, like, let's just, I want, just for the sake of the argument here, I want us to go through these, like, last two lines one more time so you guys can see how charged the language is. Okay.
In my opinion, lied in federal court.
Lied in federal court, accusing him of a crime.
Convincing the 89-year-old judge who was appointed by Jimmy Carter in the early 70s.
You know, sort of downplaying the judge and his ability to, you know, see reality because he's 89 years old. He's an unk. He doesn't know what.
I mean, it's a woman, I think. But
okay,
yeah,
sorry.
it's just
she's an
poisoning
unk.
the well.
Yeah, poisoning the well there.
To strike down all of our dismissal attempts and subsequent appeals. This resulted in a painstaking year-long discovery process where forensic investigators.
And I also, even with just that line of striking down every dismissal and stuff like that, notice that he doesn't say that his, you know, anti-slap motion got denied, right? Because to me, I think if you kind of know what's going on, you know what you're talking about a little bit, if you see that an anti-slap motion got denied, it's going to put things into question just a little bit. Because you're going to start being like, well, maybe, okay, I don't know. But his language here is extremely charged.
Audited our company's servers and hard drives for evidence of wiretapping and found absolutely nothing. Joyner's lawyers then summoned me for a grueling on-camera deposition, which we are currently gaining access to and are going to post on this channel in the coming days. During the deposition, they accused me of deleting and moving files to hide the truth, which is by every account categorically and demonstrably false.
Our paperwork's good, huh?
After years of fighting for the truth in a federal courtroom and spending over $800,000 on legal fees, Joyner's attorneys decided to drop the federal lawsuit entirely before trial. Poof, gone. They dismissed their own wiretap claims after probably realizing that such an outrageous, bold-faced, abominable, and once again, demonstrably false lie would stand no chance whatsoever at a jury trial, where an actual 12-person group of jurors, hopefully born after and not before World War II, would be present and have to hear their non-existent evidence. After the
old people just don't understand us.
Dismissal, over here at Channel 5, we were relieved to be done with the whole thing.
Andrew thought it was over.
As I mentioned, the 2-year uphill battle cost us over $800,000. If you've never been sued in federal court before, That amount of money might sound pretty high, but as I break down the lawsuit later in this video and take you through each painstaking step of the process, you'll understand how the bill got so high. You'll also probably understand why we've been going so hard in the field, producing such a high volume of content this past year, shooting in multiple countries with 3 separate camera crews, while also hosting regular ticketed live shows here in the USA, Mexico, and Canada. Of course, on a core level, documentary making is my sole passion and purpose, and I would do all this stuff for free. But in this world, the dollar is mightier than God. And since the lawsuit kicked off, I've had to work twice as hard and honestly push myself and our staff to the limit. This was the only way to keep the bills paid. As I've mentioned, and will always be the case, Channel 5 is totally independent and exists without a single dollar of corporate investment.
I feel like that's a lie. Like, I feel like that's a straight
the way
up
that he
lie.
phrased it, I don't know if I don't know how much we want to reveal about this.
I already talked about it a little bit because I mean this is public. You can find this with the with the doing things and absolutely, like you can just find that.
Yeah, with Tim Heidecker's company, it's not like a.
I mean, I suppose it's not corporate,
company, right?
Yeah. So in that way, it's not corporate, and that's the way he's like squirming around that. But like we all know what he's like trying to say. You know what I mean? And like as I said, like Doing Things Media bought him his RV. And it's the only reason that he got started in the first place. And then right from Doing Things, he went to Absolutely. So, like, he's always had, like, a company supporting him, right?
Right.
Like, that's just, I don't know, that feels very, I don't know, that feels, I don't like that. Leaves a little bit of a bad taste.
We generate revenue in 3 ways: Patreon subscriptions, merch sales,
Estimated $400K a month, by the way, Patreon.
and non-exclusive ad reads with companies who pay us for placement.
Ground use!
This model is a blessing for journalistic freedom because nobody can tell us what to do. But it's also a curse when it comes to being bullied in court by rich people because we don't have a reserve or retainer of capital to pull from if some tool bag sues us for no reason.
This ain't the LA Times. We don't have a retainer, a cash by pool, five you custer-ass motherfuckers.
To be honest though, I've been more than happy to work twice as hard this past year and a half. And even on the most stressful days, all the support and positive feedback that we get from you guys is just a reminder of how lucky I am to work in a field that I enjoy. So thank you, and I genuinely am appreciative of all the support. But today, I've got some really bad news. Bill Joyner and his attorneys are re-suing us. Not in federal court this time, but in California state court, which I guess apparently you can do after throwing out your own claims in the feds, with modified claims now that include defamation, stalking, false light, and trespassing. Yesterday, I was served with the process, pictured on screen, indicating that we're gonna have to go through this entire process again from start to finish. And after speaking with a couple different attorneys, it doesn't seem like the second round is gonna be any cheaper than the first. And therefore, I have to be direct and keep it 1,000 here. I can't afford it. This is not a drill. We cannot afford to keep operations running here at Channel 5 unless we can immediately fundraise the legal fees that are required to fight this second round against bullshitting Bill Joyner and his morally bankrupt team of bogus slang and jabronis. And we need to ask for your support. This is not something I've done before or want to do again, but after reviewing my options, this is the only course of action aside from selling the company or shutting down for the foreseeable future. When we lost All Gas No Brakes in 2021 after a contractual dispute and had to relaunch from square one without a penny of outside funding, it was all of you guys who flocked to our Patreon and kept the dream alive in the face of sudden death. And I will always appreciate each and every supporter who crossed over and has believed in us since I was a 21-year-old kid in an RV. And I hope that I've made it up to at least some of you in one way or another. But this, like that moment, is another sink or swim situation, and we do need your support immediately. I've set our fundraising goal at 800K and put a link to our GoFundMe in the pinned comment and description box of this video. So
And again, 1.5 million now.
Spare even $1, that's still a meaningful drop in the bucket, and it would mean a lot because enough small contributions will get us there. And no matter what, even if we don't meet the goal, you have my word, we will fight this to the end. Much like I would rather work the graveyard shift at an Eaton Park in Poplar Bluff, Missouri than I would apply for a job at an Epstein-captured mainstream outlet in New York City, I would also rather enter a brazen bull torture device or be buried alive in a roach-infested pine box than I would agree to any kind of polite negotiations with people like Bill Joyner and his legal team. So if you custers over at Murphy & Murphy want to take it to trial this round, don't back out before the big party.
Let's take this shit to trial, cuz. That means we got gotta squabble, hood. You gotta catch all your flags, don't stir nothing down.
To me, this is not just a matter of integrity, it's also a matter of protecting the people that I care about. Channel 5 is not the coffee shop-based operation that it was years ago when this suit first kicked off. We have a California and soon-to-be Las Vegas office with 10 full-time employees and a newsroom in Mexico City.
What he's been saying for like the
I know
last couple
it's like
minutes.
it's kind of hard to like react to this because he's just saying the same things over and over and over again.
And notice he's like really willing to go into the first lawsuit, but the second lawsuit, he's just like, oh, here are all the complaints. Anyways, it's really gonna like cost a lot. And here's a lot of our expenses. And also, like, I would rather do all these things than like give this guy money or like settle on something. It's like,
Correct.
yeah, dude. Maybe
Just framing
go
him
a
as
little bit
evil
more
as
to your
possible.
case. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you want to because he's being so fucking vague about it. Like, him being so confident about the first one and then just not saying anything about the second one. I don't know. It obviously brings up some red flags.
Who rely on the five for their livelihoods. Additionally, we just reacquired All Gas No Breaks and are in the process of developing a 12-episode season while simultaneously building an independent platform called C5.now to host it, which will also host and distribute other people's documentary films at a higher revenue share than offered by HBO or Netflix. I also support my mom and run a
Maybe
bar
we should
with
ask
my
him
dad.
to
All
put
this to say,
our next documentary up there.
Yeah, we should ask him to put this next video. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Andrew, we're actually independent. We have no corporate backing. Would you like to?
So please consider donating. If we can't reach our goal, we're gonna have to put everything on ice until this new lawsuit wraps up. That would mean committing to an indefinite hiatus starting right now, closing our offices, laying off staff members, and leaning on passive Patreon income to carry us through this.
So I don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. Why would you stop doing everything?
Because you have overhead, so you're gonna have to like pay a bunch of fixed costs or whatever, and you'd rather shut down so you don't have to pay like the lump sum of the fixed costs than like running those operations concurrently. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Dark tunnel until we come out the other side. Or worst case scenario, if we wanted to continue operations while being sued, we'd have to sell shares in Channel 5 to a corporate investor, which would betray everything we stand for and render our initial mission, which is to weaken and eventually replace the corporate press, totally useless. I would be the biggest customer alive, and I don't want any of this shit to happen. So again, please consider donating. To everybody who's followed this page and me throughout the years, thank you so much, and I want to make you a promise. If we reach our goal and can fight the second round, I won't let you down. I will make sure to bring all the projects I just mentioned to fruition. I will be transparent about where the fundraiser money is going and provide regular lawsuit updates as time goes on. And not everybody's in a position to give, which is okay. Even if you can't help out, maybe just share this video, drop a nice comment, or just continue believing in the Channel 5 mission.
Fuck Bill Joyner. What a nice comment, guys.
Fuck Bill
Making the
Joyner.
dream happen.
They're so supportive.
Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of this lawsuit. So this whole fiasco began back in 2021. At that point, I'd spent the previous year covering the lead up to the Capitol riot for my HBO project called This Place Rules.
CNN is taking a massive crap on this country.
While filming, I spent my time going city to city, rally to rally, and catching people in the midst of tense political moments. You probably saw Alex Jones whipping up crowds into a frenzy.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Right-wingers blowing shofar horns around every corner for some reason, and children talking about a cabal of pedophilic deep state boogeymen that only Trump could save us from.
Biden's a child molester, and he kidnaps children and does horrible
fantastic.
things to them. Just like Hillary Clinton and Obama, who made the virus.
It's kind of interesting looking back at
Thank
that
you,
now with
random
the
child.
Epstein stuff, but that aside, in my view, This Place Rules was a 7.5 out of 10. It did a pretty good job of capturing the reality actually on the ground during that time, but only really captured frenzied people at rallies amongst their peers. By the end, especially filming it, it all got a bit repetitive, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was missing something. Mainly, the answer to a simple question. How did these people actually get there? Or like, what happened in their personal lives prior to jumping down the reactionary rabbit hole? I wanted to spot the invisible hand and find a shared, non-political grievance that was making so many people willing to eventually toss their freedom away behind a politician who did nothing for them while also falling for every culture war issue under the sun as
Like, apologize to Bill. That's good spray. Yeah.
sides of the aisle continued to tighten their grip on wealth and information.
I would rather die than wear a mask.
My desire to answer this question, especially on the right, connects next to my personal belief that two-party politics in America are a deliberate scam engineered by a singular...
So notice he said
with
we're
this-
gonna go into like the details of this case, and he hasn't like brought up a single detail about this case.
Nothing. He's literally just flexing about like all of the cool work that he's done so that you want to support him more. Still hasn't said a single word about it.
Sole purpose of preventing the unification of, I'll just say it, the proletariat, the working class, the 99%.
Dude, what are you talking about?
Like, what the fuck is happening, dude? Like,
being sued. Like,
dude, he's
what
just,
is going on?
I'm telling you, he's just glazing his audience. Like, that's what this is. Like, he's just trying to be like, guys, you don't understand. I fight for you. I fight for you. So whenever I tell you, like, very little details about this lawsuit, you don't need to look into it because I'm fighting for you. It's very interesting. You know, I'm seeing a bit of a parallel because he kind of drew this parallel behind, like, people rallying behind politicians that don't actually help them. And kind of, like, the false hope that they cultivate and stuff like that. I mean, it kind of feels like he's doing some of the same tactics here where he's essentially being like, you guys, like, I fight for you, like, I'm doing fucking awesome, and that's why you guys should give me fucking $800,000 fucking dollars, okay? Come on! Like, I don't know. Bad vibe.
In high places, just to get robbed blind by the geriatric descendants of slavers and robber barons, while being blinded by identity-focused wedge issues that do nothing but make us hate each other.
The amount of buzzwords in that one sentence, just like horrifying. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Another
after
thing,
January-
too, is, like, if he did work with corporate media, he probably wouldn't have these problems, right?
Well,
This
I
is,
mean-
like, something that Chud was talking about in his stream, because if you work for CNN, and I know he doesn't like CNN or whatever, right, because they force him to say, like, all these lines or, you know, whatnot. I don't even know, like, how true that is. Probably is, but...
Probably. Let's check some balances.
Yeah, the thing with them is that they're extremely... like, careful about these sorts of things. You know, Washington Times, if they put something out there and it's incorrect, they have to make a redaction. They have to, like, post that on the top of the article. They have to do these things, like, really carefully. What did this guy do? He got the, like, legal complaints, and he was served papers, and then he releases the documentary anyways, and at the end of the documentary, he's like, yeah, we're being sued by Bill Joyner.
Right.
Please help us, guys. Yeah, I mean, it's pathetic.
Well, and doesn't he even have a moment in here where he talks about, like, why it was so bad working for the corporate media? Like, I know that he talks about the HBO thing, but doesn't he later talk about how he had to, like, revise this monologue, like, blah, blah, blah? But it goes to
I
show
don't think I
that...
watched this full video, so...
I think he has a moment in there where he says something like that. And if that is the case, because I'm pretty sure that it is, if that's the case, it just goes to show that, like, whatever media he was working with, he was probably saying some reckless, stupid bullshit that might get them in trouble. So yeah, they had to revise it. Like, okay, unfortunate. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
January 6th, there was a pretty interesting Washington Post study that came out that honestly kind of revealed what I had been thinking for a long time. So it showed that in the years leading up to 2020, 60% of January 6 defendants had filed for bankruptcy, 50% were in severe debt to a creditor, and 18% lost their homes as a result of eviction or foreclosure.
Yeah, I mean, this is just straight up...
This
like
is
a,
interesting. That feels very charged.
I mean, this is in the documentary. This is just straight up like a promo for his documentary right now.
But
He's
you know what it
making all the
also
points.
is?
Yeah.
It's also kind of introducing and being like, and this is why Bill Joyner's a villain. You know what I mean? Because it's like, yeah, this big bad is happening to all these people who are ruining their lives for, like, a stupid cause. But then there are these horrible, predatory people who, like, you know, get their homes foreclosed and, you know, take out these debts from predatory lenders. And what's Bill Joyner? Well,
All these numbers were far above the national average, pointing to what I saw as a humanizing pipeline between personal hardship and political radicalization on the right, which in itself was consistent with the theory that I developed back at the Flat Earth Conference back in 2019.
I mean, all the empirical evidence overwhelmingly suggests that there's an enormous 200-foot ice wall holding the oceans in level and flat.
Have you
of course.
researched Hitler at all?
In the absence of creativity, I called my idea
I have.
Andrew's radicalization.
Yes, sir.
theory, after discovering that nearly every active flat earther had suffered a recent sequence of traumatic life events that caused their personal sense of security, significance, and connection to collapse almost overnight, leading them into a spiral of pain, self-loathing, and a sort of greater
Political echo
societal
chambers are a big problem in this country. That's why we need to camp outside Bill Joyner's house in ghillie suits in the middle of the night.
That's so... No, you know what? That's actually so fucking true. I didn't even think about it like that.
Illusionment that put them in these kind of apocalypse cults, which QAnon...
I'm giving him $500.
January 6th pretty much was. So after this place rules came out, I was kind of in search of a January 6er who'd also gone through financial hardship before 2020, who was down to be filmed like for a long period of time and help me prove this theory. That's when I found Kelly Johnson, aka Kelly J. Patriot, at a White Lives Matter rally in Huntington Beach, California on April 11, 2021.
I think you know where I was on January 6th.
Where were you?
I think you know where I was on January 6th.
He was a man full of energy, wearing champion shoes,
Kobe Bryant was assassinated by the Quins.
still kind of riding the high from the January 6 events. And at first, it was a completely standard right-wing street interaction. I held up the microphone, and he was kind of rattling off various talking points that I'd heard a million times while filming for my HBO project.
It's demonic people who that kill the kids, drink their blood, probably eat them too. I mean, that's what they haven't put this out, because when that happens, people won't be able to believe it. But that's the truth, and sometimes the truth hurts.
But everything changed when I asked him one question.
What's the most painful piece of truth that's hurt you?
The question unlocked a tense personal anecdote.
His name's Bill Joyner. He destroyed my family, destroyed my 25-year business, separated and devastated my family. So that answers your question.
This dude sounds like he sucks.
And he's demonic also.
So after I popped that question, our whole conversation pivoted from Clinton trafficking rings and the alleged Kobe Bryant assassination to a personal one about a man named Bill Joyner, the one suing me now.
Bill Joyner! His name's Bill Joyner. I've heard that Hunter Biden and Bill Joyner are tight. He's tied in with the White House. Oops, careful, careful. If you go this way, look out for Bill Joyner.
Cut thought Cut was a demon.
So I've been advised by my
Oh,
attorney.
great. Thank God we're showing more fucking Kelly when he was happy. This is the kind of shit that we're talking about. These like happy memories of like before Bill Joyner.
To not say that much about the Dear Kelly film ahead of this ongoing litigation.
It's also
but I
like
will
not
tell you
really
that this
before
film,
Bill Joyner.
only
It's more like before you got 20 like legal complaints by the bar association, and then you got shut down. You know.
I mean that's the actuality, right? But the way it's presented is like before Bill Joyner, because they talk very, very explicitly about the Bill Joyner stuff, like in detail about how it ruined his life right before they do it for the first time, right?
And you know what's insane too? Like this is the promo, but if you watch the actual documentary, it's pretty clear. Like Andrew, when he's interviewing his kids, when he's interviewing Kelly's kids, the biggest complaint they have about Kelly is that he can never take personal responsibility. Like, they talk about how, like, the year after he dropped the Bill Joyner stuff, and keep in mind, this guy has been harassing Bill Joyner for 10 years. Like, from 2008 all the way up to, like, probably more than 10 years. Like, 2019, 2020. I don't remember when this was filmed. Like, 2024. So more than 10 years. This guy's been harassing this guy. And then one year, he's like, I can't be doing this anymore. Like, I have no money anymore. I need to get my life straight. And then he goes to rehab, and he opens up about like his addiction problems. And then he blames everything on the addictions, and then his like kids are really mad that he's blaming all the bad things that he did for like all those years on the addiction, right?
Right.
And so Andrew himself, he like frames it as if like Bill Joyner didn't do this. He's just like a scapegoat for Kelly, right? But then he's also like framing it in the promo like Bill Joyner's the bad guy.
Well, it's also like he may say or kind of allude to Bill Joyner not being the problem, but then that doesn't make a ton of sense because of the fact that he participates in all of this like harassing and stalking of Bill Joyner. So it's like, if he genuinely believes that, then why participate in that? You know?
Yep. I mean, a lot of this is just kind of incoherent. He's like, oh, there's the Epstein class, and they're trying to get, like, these, you know, retarded MAGA patriots who, like, believe in QAnon, like, all these, like, Q-tards. Yeah. And then he's like, but also all these people are just, like, scapegoating these guys, and, like, none of that's real, and, like, they're all, like, stupid, and I don't know, they can never, like, take responsibility. Like, it's a very strange message. It's almost contradictory, because on the one hand, you're trying to say, like, we live in this, you know, like, corporate hellscape, and yeah, we live in a society. And then, like, your other message is, like, we don't live in a society. People just need to, like, be responsible. Like, they need to realize they're responsible for their own actions. I mean, it's strange.
When he oscillates
bizarre.
back and forth, it's so strange. Like, it's almost like what he says in post is like kind of this take responsibility message, but then when he's in the moment with these people, he's just participating in it and enabling it.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe in some way, like, obviously this is just speculation. I'm not saying this is what it is, but in some way, maybe that almost kind of helps the message, because by kind of, you know, pseudo participating in, or at the very least being on the sidelines of and doing nothing about it, these actions, they are emboldened and they do worse, and that gives them a bigger opportunity to in post be like, well, they just need to take responsibility. And as you can see, they're like crazy, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Just fun.
Actually, there is a video we may watch later that digs a little bit into that mindset that Andrew has, but I don't know if we'll get to it.
Is that the Jubilee one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should definitely watch that, because I think it does help what we're talking about.
Pre-political dispute between Kelly and Bill Joyner, and very quickly evolves into a movie about Kelly's mental and family rehabilitation.
Okay, that's actually important. We need to listen to that again.
It focuses on the litigation, but I do not say that much about the Dear Kelly film ahead of this ongoing litigation. But I will tell you that this film only briefly focuses on the pre-political dispute between Kelly and Bill Joyner.
That's just a lie. That's just not true. I don't I don't know where he's getting off saying that. That's just not true. Like, I mean,
he says so let me try to.
Is he trying to be crafty with it? Is that what it is?
Yeah, so he said pre-political dispute, because his thesis behind this is that, and Kelly says this too, Kelly says that Trump and I are the same because he's going against the deep state and I'm going against Bill Joyner, right? That's how he kind of like frames it. It doesn't really make much sense, but that's kind of how he connects the two. Sure. And Andrew sees this as like a confirmation of his theory that the reason why people become like Q-tards is because they have some like crazy event in their life and they like get trauma from that, and then they feel like they're helpless, so they need to like find a new worldview that proves to them that they are helpless and they can't do anything to stop like the pedophile Illuminati cabal or whatever, right?
Right.
And for the most part, does it revolve around that case? I would argue it does, because he tries to get to the truth of the matter. And the truth of the matter is that he just took on those loans because he didn't have a job anymore, right? And he, for whatever reason, he has this irrational love of this piece of property. Like, he's like, I can't let it go. We can't downsize.
Because of the pot
we need
belly
to keep
pigs.
this home. Yeah, we need to keep the memories of all of the farm animals that we had in this weird suburban
Inside
house.
of our house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't like mentally there even like before all of this stuff.
No, it was
Like,
so clear.
Apparently he almost like he started like defaming a Lakers player or something. I need to rewatch the documentary, but that's something that happens. What? And that's like one of the reasons why he gets disbarred from law. Yeah, he starts like defaming a Lakers player, and this becomes like huge news. And they're like, yeah, this is one of the complaints we have. I don't think you can practice law anymore. That's one of the reasons why they kicked him out. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, I think, like, I understand where you're coming from with, like, the just explaining the justification itself. But, like, if we take this from, like, a sort of colloquial, sort of how people are interpreting it sort of message, that line, the way that he says it, I understand he's being crafty about it, so he's not technically lying. But let's be so honest. The way that the common man is going to interpret that is only a very tiny little part of the documentary is about Bill Joyner, right? That's the way that he's trying to say it. Right, like he's saying it so it's technically not a lie, but the way that he's saying it makes it sound like Bill Joyner is a very small, insignificant part of the documentary, when that is just not the case at all. So, you know,
very quickly.
I mean, even with the qualification, I think it's false. Like the more I think about it, but yeah,
potentially, for sure.
A movie about Kelly's mental and family rehabilitation, with an analysis of how online echo chambers have broken up the modern American family.
Does this hair make me look gay?
Why, do you want to look gay?
Yeah.
Are you gay?
Half.
Huh?
Bye.
Okay, super.
Again, I don't want to spoil it too much, but
so like the thing with this too is he almost focuses very little on the online component of this. So he's also just being misleading here. right?
Sorry, Sprayed is just on fire tonight, dude. Holy shit. That's such an awesome chat.
To learn who rules over you, learn who you aren't allowed to criticize. Bill Joyner and the Lakers.
Like, yeah, those are the two big bads. Big Lakers.
A pretty emotional intervention and documents Kelly's process in inpatient therapy in which he accepts responsibility for.
I mean, Fetty, am I wrong? Isn't that like a very small part of the documentary, though? Like
it's
that
like at the
particular
very end, pretty
Right.
much. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, I mean, if we're talking proportionally, it's like a pretty small amount of it, right?
So the family is a big part of it.
Of course,
but
the family dynamic, sure.
But like when they really focus on it, it's like at the end of the film. Let me check. So like for an hour, it's just this like crazy like Bill Joyner thing, and then for like 30 minutes at the end, it's about like the family stuff for the most part.
Right.
Yeah.
His own role in the home foreclosure and actually goes as far as agreeing to apologize and make amends with Bill.
I need to go back and I need to forgive Bill Joyner.
Lawsuit aside, it's actually a film that I'm quite proud of. We originally launched the film on hard copy DVD and on our website, which was www.dearkellyfilm.com, for a $5.55 rental and a $15.55 lifetime purchase. But guys, what if I told you that all of you watching right now can watch Dear Kelly for free?
Free movie alert. Free movie alert. Free
Epic.
movie alert.
So if right now you go to www.dearkellyfilm.com on your computer, tablet, or phone, hit the rental option, go to rent it for 48 hours, and while you're checking out, type in all caps code DearKelly26. That is code DearKelly26, and you will get a free 2-day pass to watch the film.
So yeah, if you do want to watch it yourselves, guys, use that promo code, and you'll see all of the stuff that we've been telling you. But there you go. You have the opportunity to see it for yourself.
Watching Dear Kelly in its entirety will give you more context as to just how ridiculous this lawsuit is.
What?
Hi, Derailed
for
and
the 5.
Derails. Maybe if we got this for Bill, he wouldn't have sued. I think it's a great gift.
Incredible. Thank you, Speed Racer. We'll check it out soon.
And probably answer whatever other questions you might have about the project. Link is in the bio along with the GoFundMe. All right, let's get back to the lawsuit timeline. Fast forward to the May of 2024, far after we finished filming for Dear Kelly and once we'd finally wrapped the final cut at our headquarters back in Vegas. So that month, in May, we announced a 36-city international tour across the US, Mexico, and Canada to screen Dear Kelly in front of live audiences. And boom, a week before tour kicks off, we got a cease and desist letter in the mail from Bill's lawyers. The letter threatened to sue us and every single other venue on the tour if we didn't cancel the tour completely, halt distribution of Dear Kelly indefinitely, and delete all raw files used in the assembly of the film while giving Bill and his lawyers the only existing copy left of the audio and video files used to make Dear Kelly. My first thought when I got the letter was, holy shit, Bill Joyner is real? And then my second thought was, fuck that, man. We're not canceling tour. You know, I didn't defame him in any way. I didn't wiretap him. But they sued us anyway. On May 30th, 2024, which was a real bummer. So in the complaint, which is also linked below, they describe Dear Kelly as a film that corroborates the false, nonsensical, and mentally disturbed story of defendant Kelly Scott Johnson. They claim that we spent 2 years stalking, surveilling, video recording, and audio recording Mr. Joyner, his family, his home residence, and his place of business.
Let's listen to that one more time. 2 years stalking, surveilling, video recording, audio recording Mr. Joyner, his family, his home residence, and his place of business. I mean, we certainly know that the stalking, surveilling, video recording Mr. Joyner, I don't know about his family, his home residence, yes, and his place of business, yes.
Keep in mind, too, this is like the complaint. I think after this, they go into like discovery, and then they refine sort of like the case, right? So
right.
This is just what you send over to the judge to sort of like have the preliminary like complaints and like the motion to move forward.
But I mean, like, that's all. Most of that's correct from what we know.
And audio recording Mr. Joyner, his family, his home residence, and his place of business. And that we traveled to California, where I actually lived at the time, specifically to create recordings intended to harass and intimidate Mr. Joyner, his spouse, and his minor children, not to be confused with adult children. They then go on to describe me as a deranged, right-wing prankster with brain damage from mushrooms, and the sidekick of a crazy January 6th defendant, writing that while it first appeared that Callaghan was simply reporting on the story of Kelly Johnson, it is clear that at some point the two became quite close, and Callaghan has taken on Johnson's crusade against Mr. Joyner as his own.
Andrew ain't never
Okay, so
said
this isn't
Bill
like
Joyner.
100% correct, but from the outside looking in, that I mean, that is kind of what it looks like.
I can
If you're,
completely
like,
understand how you
indulging-
could come up with that, right?
Yeah, if you're indulging in this guy's like delusions and you're like, okay, we need to start emailing this guy and like sending him mail and like we need to start stalking like every property he owns. I mean, it does seem a little bit crazy, especially if you know that this guy has been sending flyers to like everyone around you saying that you are like best friends with the Clintons and that like you steal houses from people. I mean, I would be like kind of like I would think that you're kind of a crazy person, you know?
Yeah. Of course.
Shit.
They also claimed, falsely, that I had the intent to release a film dedicated almost entirely to Johnson's crusade to destroy Mr. Joyner without cause, and that I am not a journalist, but rather a producer of scripted, voyeuristic, tabloid television dribble.
And the damn thing scripted at Channel 5.
It's actually pretty funny, but on a serious note, anybody who's watched Dear Kelly knows how off-base and ridiculous that assessment is. Not only did we never trespass or capture a single...
What? I mean, you don't have to be inside of the property to trespass, do you?
I mean, you have to be in like the property area.
Was that not close
so-
enough? Where they were in the ghillie suits?
Yeah, I guess he was showing like a picture of him at the office, and I'm not sure if that counts.
I mean, would the ghillie suit thing not count?
No, I think it might. It depends where they were like holed up at. So if you watch the documentary, they say that like they're right behind his property, but it's like kind of far away and they can't really see what's going on. But they claim that they have like CCTV footage of them behind their property. So it really depends on how much of the land they own behind the mansion.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
was Andrew really in full understanding of what this guy's property lines are? Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Huh. Interesting.
Recording of Bill, but the premise of the film was to effectively de-radicalize a person, Kelly, who is one of millions of Americans that dove headfirst into reactionary politics during the pandemic after falling on hard times.
COVID, pandemic, it was a struggle place. America's a cutthroat place, and the people been struggling.
I mean, honestly, I can't tell you how many people have told me they've been touched by the film because they have a family member,
Touched.
loved one, or QAnon aunt or grandma that mirrors Kelly's story exactly. And to add to that, by the end of the film, Kelly forgives and lets go of his resentments to Bill after undergoing...
But doesn't he, like, double down on it after?
No, I mean, he gets better, like, he gets a better relationship with his children. It's just that he then goes and gets into, like, the MAGA, like, slot news, like, sphere, like, the political sphere.
But he shuts up
they're
about
just
Bill
better.
Joyner?
Yeah, he shuts up
Okay.
about Bill Joyner.
Okay.
And he... I mean, it's a little bit better than what he's doing, because at least he's, like, making money. He's, like, he works for some media company at that point, but he's like 100% like kind of obsessed with that, you know?
Right.
And he probably could be making a lot more money like just doing a normal job.
True.
therapy that was facilitated through channels that we created. If anything, we did Bill a favor with this film, but Bill's lawyers don't seem interested in viewing the film in its entirety or attempting to see its connection to a bigger picture. They want to punish me for giving Kelly a platform. And also,
I mean, they don't need to watch the full film.
Yeah.
Like, if you read, and we'll see it later, but, like, they have a bunch of evidence for some of these claims, apparently. So.
Right.
Personal life and career, hilariously suggesting that I am not a real journalist, but rather a gonzo journalist. The lawsuit actually says this, describing Channel 5 as a gonzo-style filmmaking operation, then defining...
I mean, he is
as
kind of a
creating
gonzo-style, like, filmmaker.
Yeah,
You should
just because...
kind of...
Is he so stupid that he thinks being called a gonzo journalist means that you're not a real journalist? It's like a
I mean,
like,
they
yeah,
do
people
put it in,
shit on
like-
it, sure, but like...
They put it in like quotes, and I think they're trying to use it to demean him or whatever. But I would kind of like wear that as a badge of honor.
I would
in the
too.
sense that like it's kind of like interesting. It just says that like you're kind of like crazy as long as you do it like you do things legally. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, as long as you do things above board. It's fine.
Sensationalistic works of fiction using hyperbole, fantasy, and conspiracy theories, sometimes drug and alcohol fueled, and deliberately designing things to excite, enrage, and rabble-rouse. Right. Long live Hunter S. Thompson.
Let's define gonzo.
Gonzo journalism is a literary style, pioneered by Hunter S. Thompson, that combines nonfiction and fantasy elements. There's no such thing as a gonzo video. The word gonzo kind of gets used in tandem with like guerrilla journalist, but gonzo is something totally different. So no, I'm not a gonzo journalist. I mean, I could be one day, but I'd have to write something that's half inspired by fantasy. So jumping forward, on August 2nd, 2024, right as the Dear Kelly tour wrapped, we fought back with an anti-SLAPP motion. So SLAPP stands for Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation, and mostly exists to protect journalists from frivolous lawsuits that are typically leveraged by powerful people with deep pockets who are trying to keep reporters quiet about something by burying them in legal and court fees.
If someone facilitated an unhinged stalker of yours to camp outside your property, then years later the stalker chilled out, that doesn't mean any grievance for the prior facilitation is gone. Correct. Correct. At least in the beginning, he would talk to her and be supportive of the lesbian relationship, but after rehab, he goes far more downhill and now is saying that if his daughter marries her girlfriend, he won't even show up to the wedding. Oh, great. Okay.
Until they basically get fatigued by expenses and agree to settle outside of court and sign some kind of NDA that guarantees permanent silence. So in that context, me filing an anti-SLAPP motion against someone like Bill is a pretty standard legal move that a journalist would use to dismiss a bullshit lawsuit out the gate and avoid being dragged into the financial nightmare that is discovery or trial.
Anti-SLAPP exists to protect the free speech of journalists.
And while it can be pricey to file the motion,
Thank you, Mr. Retard. I really appreciate that.
The judge rules in your favor during an anti-SLAPP, the other side has to pay back the legal fees, so it kind of works itself out if you're telling the truth. And I am telling the truth. So I hired the best lawyers I could over at Davis Wright Tremaine, based in New York City, and we felt great about the motion because Dear Kelly is clearly protected speech and is journalistically significant. The film, even though it's focused on Kelly as an individual who himself isn't like a politician or an important figure necessarily, his story connects to broader national events and movements that have permanently reshaped the landscape of our country.
Prodigal son.
Absolutely.
None of it happened before. Remember
Absolutely.
that.
Thank you, Charlie. Good seeing you again. Thank you.
And also when it comes to like the wiretapping.
Guys, he talked to freaking Charlie Kirk! Wow! Whoa!
His attorneys couldn't find one specific instance of us actually recording Bill in the flesh ever, or having a conversation with him.
Shit don't make sense.
Then a few months.
Once again, guys, as we said before, this is the complaint, not like discovery where it gets like, formalized and everything. Remember that.
Later came the ruling. Our judge ruled in favor of Joyner, dismissing our motion and arguing that Dear Kelly was not protected speech because Kelly's story is not a matter of public interest, meaning because Kelly and Bill are both private individuals and their prior disputes surrounding the foreclosure of Kelly's home had already been resolved, my film wasn't journalistically valuable because their dispute with the house was no longer ongoing and so doesn't concern the public. That doesn't make any sense to me. Probably not to you guys either. I don't know if the judge ever watched Dear Kelly or if she even knows how to use a computer, and I mean that respectfully. Judge Marshall was born in
I mean that respectfully. Come on, man. Yeah, this stupid fucking bitch who's like 97 years old probably has no idea how to use technology. I'm not saying that to be a bad thing. I'm just saying.
1936, around 15 years before cable TV became a household fixture, and may have had, honestly, genuine difficulty navigating the technology and consuming new media, so just opted to take Joyner's word that Dear Kelly is one long audit of what went down with a random home foreclosure in 2017. It's crazy, but it sucks, and either way, that was the ruling. So 6 days later, we appealed to the Ninth Circuit Court, just praying to God that anybody except for that judge could get their eyes on this frivolous lawsuit. And while our appeal was just sitting there in the queue, waiting to be heard for months, the Ninth Circuit Court decided to change the rules entirely.
I'm so glad that Andrew has his personal black servant explain things in Ebonics for the black viewers. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, that's great, Mac.
Now ruling that you can't appeal a denied anti-SLAPP motion in federal court. And just like that, mid-game, with our appeal still pending, we were forced to move on to discovery, one of the most expensive things imaginable.
Discovery is a nightmare.
For those of you who don't know what discovery actually is, this is the phase of a lawsuit where both sides have to hand over everything. Every email, every text message, every hard drive, every document that could possibly pertain to the case. These files have to be collected and transferred by court-approved forensic investigators and then downloaded downloaded, annotated, mapped, and presented to the opposing counsel. That means that every single file pertaining to a case regarding a film that was shot over the course of 4 years had to be picked up, collected, archived, and sent over. This took over a year to accomplish, and it was more of a headache than I would care to explain in this video. But finally, after Bill's attorneys found absolutely nothing on any of our company hard drives or servers, they switched strategies, having me sit down for a multi-hour on-camera deposition where they attempted to grill me with confusing questions about Adobe Premiere proxies and a number of other mind-boggling dumbass things to suggest that we actually did wiretap and monitor Bill's electronic communications, but had moved and or deleted the files before the lawsuit even began, because even
Thank
before
you, Kitten Screaming,
I was about to say.
for the 98 jewels.
Yeah, for the England. Yeah.
they contacted us, we knew that we'd gone too far.
My question is, if you're not using proxy, how are these?
Yes, right. They really should have. They really should have brought CryptMac to the fucking Joyner household. You're right.
My question is, if you're not using proxy, how are these proxy folders created?
Proxy folders are oftentimes automatically created when you're transferring 4K video footage. You know, a proxy is just basically like a ghost file that references the raw footage itself. So even if you're working from a proxy...
So, like, most of this, he's talking about discovery, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people, because they don't know anything about video editing, they're going to ask you stupid questions.
Yeah.
But this is just, like, the nature of building up a case for your client, right? Like, this is just how a lot of these court cases go. Like, it sucks, and this is ridiculous, but, like, complaining about this doesn't really tell you anything about, like, the nature of the complaint, right?
Yep.
It just says, like...
We're just trying to depict them as unk as possible, right? That's the whole thing. They're out of touch.
There's that, and then also it just seems kind of like, you know, a pain to send over, like, all these hard drives and let people sort of, like, look into your personal stuff that pertain... Well, you know, semi-personal stuff that pertains to this case. You know, that kind of sucks, but...
Yeah. Don't they also just have to dumb things down so the jury understands? Yes.
File. That just means it is like a low resolution composite video rendering of that file to make it easier on your computer.
It was the dumbest waste of time I have ever endured in my 29 years on this planet. And as I mentioned, I'm gonna drop the entire deposition video on this channel this week when the courts cough it up, because it was so insufferable, and I'm sorry, but I need you guys to feel my pain.
Have you been deposed before?
No.
Oh.
So, after the deposition, and once discovery had totally wrapped...
I wonder if we should wait for that.
Maybe. I don't think it's going to be too relevant to, you know, what we're going to need for this video. But...
Yeah, it's fair.
I was moving forward towards summary judgment and possibly a trial. Bill's attorneys voluntarily dismissed a federal lawsuit.
Respect it.
Just like that. Gone. Hundreds of thousands of dollars wasted on both sides. All for nothing. At first I was like, fuck yeah, you know what? That was a tough time, but I learned a lot. But then I got served again, informing me, as I mentioned, that I'm being re-sued by the same people, but this time in California state court.
I thought the lawsuit was gone. That was just the beginning.
We have to start from scratch at the very beginning with a new judge. That might mean more discovery, more depositions, more forensic audits, more lies, and more bullshit from Bill Joyner and his cronies. Which, as I mentioned, is something that I cannot afford to do. Not only am I insanely behind on legal bills from the previous suit, but at this current moment, we don't even have the money to pay for representation moving forward.
So if he can't stack increments, he's fucked. He owes the lawyer $300,000. Andrew, remember, you're a great man. You help a lot of people. You care about everybody. Everything's gonna see all right. Never commit suicide. We're here. We're gonna help you.
Thank God. Dude, thank God he's telling Andrew not to kill himself.
Channel 5 will never die. I'm gonna keep it 55th Street. Fans, we need y'all help.
I'll keep you guys updated, and I won't let y'all down. Fuck Bill Joyner. 5.
Wow.
Incredible. Incredible stuff. Wow. Okay.
So what's next?
So next, we're getting into... Let me see here. Let me not show you guys screen for a second. So I don't... Because I'm probably going to have to switch accounts because Google Drive is fucking retarded. Yep. Cool. All right. Okay. So next, we're going to get into the court complaint. Or, well, should we look at the court complaint?
Yeah, we should look at that first.
Okay, cool. So let's look into the court complaint. So as you can see, this is a complaint for, and it showed the wrong account again. Hold on. Fucking
It's
hate
over.
how it does this, dude. It's fucking retarded. Okay. So as you can see, this is a complaint for violation of California Civil Code, invasion of privacy to capture physical impression, trespass to land, defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, negligence, common law invasion of privacy false light. I'm assuming that that's putting someone in a false light while invading your privacy? I would assume.
I don't know. We'll see later.
Yeah, fair enough. Intrusion upon seclusion and violation of California Business and Professions Code, which I guess we don't get to see what that is, but that's fine. So, William Joyner alleges as follows. This action is brought by a private individual, William Joyner, who had his spouse's and his children's health and personal safety put in grave and entirely unnecessary jeopardy. The defendants in this case spent the last 2 years surveilling, stalking, and recording or attempting to record Mr. Joyner, his family, his home, and his place of business, and created a film that they broadcasted at more than 38 theaters nationwide, as well as in Canada, and which is being sold for download to the public on a website owned or controlled by at least Andrew Callahan and Channel 5. The film is based on the false, nonsensical, and mentally disturbed quote-unquote story of Kelly Scott Johnson, also known as Kelly J. Patriot. Great name. Fantastic name.
So far, it's not like completely incorrect.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything too bad here. Defendant
to read.
Oh yeah, go ahead. We can take turns. Let's do it.
Yeah, Defendant Johnson is a disbarred California lawyer who has more than a decade of experience bringing frivolous and vexatious litigation against Mr. Joyner. Johnson has also made numerous personal threats against Mr. Joyner in emails sent over several years, including without limitation. A. Mr. Joyner needs to be careful for what he wishes for.
Dude.
As I also mentioned, and as Mr. Joyner should be aware by now, he picked the wrong fight and the wrong person to fight with. B. On a related note, I wanted to mention and remind you that you're going to regret what you're doing and what you have done to my family and for the rest of your life. C. Similarly, the longer you continue to try to steal my family's home, the more you're going to regret it and the more you will pay. D. I hope Mr. Joyner is happy and that he gets all that he is after and all that he deserves, and I intend to make sure of that.
That's a direct threat. That's insane.
Yeah, that is crazy. Okay. E. I hope Joyner is happy, as he will pay dearly for what he has wrongfully. By the way, he just says like a bunch of these sorts of phrases in the documentary themselves.
Well, and like we said before, he literally says that the guy deserves to be hanged, and if times were different, he would just like kill him himself, right? But like because of society, he can't, right?
Yep. Okay, F. I am surprised that Bill Joyner continues to jeopardize his livelihood and personal freedom. Okay. By continuing to steal our family home through verifiable, fraudulent recorded documents. He will have his day, and so will your firm.
That literally sounds like the Day of Reckoning from Elliot Rodger, bro. Like, that is just like... That's
I think the Day of Reckoning is from the Pizza Hut guy.
Oh, it is? Okay, that's the Pizza Hut. I'm thinking of... What am I thinking of?
No. Papa John's.
It's Papa John's. What does Elliot Rodger say? It's like the... Oh, fuck. What does he, like, have for his big day? Like, when he, like, takes over the world and stuff. I can't remember. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. G. How can Mr. Joyner sleep at night, having to constantly look over his shoulder? Not a good way to live your life, as the Lord is also taking inventory of what is going on here. You are all warned. Amazing. H. You will pay in a big way, Bill, I guarantee it. I want to make sure that you saw my message below, as your attorneys have claimed that you are scared, and you should be very concerned about the many repercussions you're facing for what you have done. We have nothing to lose. How about you, Bill? J. As before, you're going down. The only question is when and how hard. K. Joyner will pay a price. It's just a matter of time. L. Mr. Joyner will be, quote-unquote, heading to his next $500,000 in attorney's fees and costs with no end in sight. M. To Mr. Joyner's counsel. Although you may be so-called going away, you're not really going away, i.e., although you and Penelope might be sometimes. What? As this, who's Penelope? Is
I'm
this,
assuming
his
his wife.
or something?
I would assume his wife.
Okay. As this case, my well-founded claims, the quote-unquote truth, will follow you for the rest of your days on this earth, and until there is justice. Hallelujah. And to Mr. Joyner's counsel, overall, I just like your poor client. You can run, you can try to insulate yourself, but you can't hide, as I and the OC Sheriff's Department process servers will also find your new firm in order... Wait, so they got a new firm, and he's like claiming that he's gonna find this area. Like this new, like, business. Okay. To serve the next lawsuit against your criminal client and his accomplices. Okay, 3. For the next 10 years, Johnson stalked and threatened Mr. Joyner. Johnson intensified his actions to the point that Mr. Joyner was required to obtain a civil restraining order against Johnson. That order subsequently terminated in 2020.
Okay. 4. Yeah. The lengthy history of Johnson's civil claims and defenses have been adjudicated by numerous courts in California, both state and federal, at trial and appellate levels. Having lost all of this litigation, and after the Superior Court of California declared Johnson a vexatious litigant, Johnson has been barred from filing lawsuits against Mr. Joyner. Nevertheless, Johnson teamed up with the other defendants in this action to do something more sinister and dangerous to Joyner and his family. 5. Callaghan and Channel 5, LLC, have consumed the false narratives fed to them by Johnson and created a motion picture that they have broadcasted nationwide. Although promoted at one point as an untitled film and later titled Dear Kelly, Callaghan has previously stated publicly that the film will be titled Finding Bill Joyner. In this complaint, plaintiff refers to the film as the Callaghan film. In the Callaghan film, Johnson and Callaghan are depicted wearing, among other things, ghillie suits, skulking in property behind Mr. Joyner's residence, and videoing the dwelling and those inside of it. Callaghan has publicly posted at least one photograph of himself and Johnson wearing these ghillie suits, with the caption indicating that the two were on a daring mission for revenge.
Amazing. The preview for the film also shows what appears to be Callaghan having gained access under false pretenses to Mr. Joyner's place of business, which is restricted by key and access. All of the video and audio recordings of the film were made without Mr. Joyner or his family's knowledge and without their consent. 7. Also publicly available on YouTube are recorded videos of a theater of Los Angeles, California, filled with individuals who attended Callaghan's previous live show, previewing one of his films, chanting repeatedly in unison with enthusiasm, "Fuck Bill Joyner," as Kelly Johnson is revealed on stage and joins the chant. Okay, that's kind of crazy. And 2, a theater in Portland, Oregon, also filled with Callaghan's fans, in which Callaghan himself shouts, "Fuck Bill Joyner," and the crowd again repeats the chant in response.
8. The Callaghan film presents a clear and present danger to Mr. Joyner and his family, has already damaged Mr. Joyner, and will gravely damage him and his family even further unless defendants are enjoined and restrained by this court. It has already been shown publicly in at least 40 venues in North America and has been purchased from defendants' website by tens of thousands of people. Callaghan has publicly stated that he is shopping the film to third-party streaming platforms such as Netflix, Hulu, and HBO, and attempting to have the Callaghan film shown on a platform. Okay.
We can skip the
parties. Yeah, we can skip
parties.
parties. It's not jurisdiction and venue. I don't think we really need that, right? I think we should do facts common to all causes of action, right?
Kelly Scott Johnson. Johnson is well known as a right-wing extremist and conspiracy theorist who has publicly announced Kobe Bryant was assassinated by the Clintons, that the Democrat Party controls quote-unquote the banking and the Vatican, and that the COVID-19 vaccines contain pieces of metal and creepy crawlers that will cause kids to grow up with tails and animal hair. Amazing. Johnson attended the January 6th, 2021 attempted insurrection at Washington, D.C., and images of his attendance at the Capitol riot have also been published by Andrew Callahan, although, among other venues, Callahan's YouTube channel known as Channel 5. Johnson has also been seen in multiple videos since January 6th, 2021, brandishing a .357 Magnum handgun and has stated on camera that he owns an assault rifle and that he keeps in his car. So this is actually kind of interesting to note. When he goes to the White Lives Matter rally, where like Bill Joyner is like, not Bill Joyner, where Kelly is like available, the first like sort of vintage that he has of Kelly, he's like pulling out a bunch of stuff from his car, and it ends with him like pulling out his Magnum and like waving it at like the camera. So like, anyways, the first thing that you know about Kelly is that he's just this like armed crazy guy, and you're going into the entire like film knowing that. So, you know, he can say that he doesn't want to kill Bill Joyner, but you know, we just read like all the crazy threats that he like sent to this guy.
Yes, and the guy is armed and he's clearly unstable. So, I mean, that's a pretty good establishing facts there. I'm going to be honest. Okay, Johnson's tortured history with the California State Bar. Johnson was admitted to practice law in California in 1988. He was first brought up on disciplinary charges by the California State Bar on November 25th, 2013. In factual and legal findings to which Johnson stipulated, the State Bar found that Johnson engaged in 21 counts of professional misconduct involving 7 different client matters, each of which Johnson stipulated caused serious client harm and involved multiple acts of misconduct that he failed to make restitution for the unearned fees he failed to refund. In yet another case, Johnson was referred to the disciplinary panel of the United States Bankruptcy Court, Central District of California. In that case, Johnson represented a debtor in an individual bankruptcy proceeding. During his representation, Johnson advised his client that certain proceedings from the client's sale of his residence were not part of the bankruptcy estate, and that Johnson was in need of a loan that the client could provide to him. Johnson ultimately misled his client in loaning him a total of $22,500.
Oh yeah, that's kind of crazy. That's insane.
Absurd. That's absurd.
That's wild. After determining that the proceeds from the sale of the client's home were not disclosed in the bankruptcy petition filed by Johnson on behalf of his client, the bankruptcy court issued an order to show cause why Johnson's client should not be held in contempt of court. Johnson advised his client that he did not have to appear in court on the date that the court scheduled the hearing on this order to show cause, resulting in Johnson's client being held in contempt of court. Later in proceedings, Johnson's client informed the bankruptcy court of all the foregoing facts. After learning of these facts, the bankruptcy judge, who according to Johnson's client was quote-unquote disgusted with Johnson, found Johnson in contempt, and in addition to referring him to the disciplinary panel, imposed monetary sanctions against him with the amount of $15,000. Johnson was suspended by the State Bar for 2 years, required to comply with certain conditions to be reinstated after serving that suspension. Those conditions included, among other things, the requirement that Johnson pay the sanctions imposed by the bankruptcy court and repay the loans from his client. According to court records, Johnson never repaid his client, nor paid the ordered monetary sanctions, nor complied with other conditions imposed on him to avoid disbarment. Accordingly, after the expiration of the time period, the State Bar imposed on him to comply with those conditions. The California Supreme Court ordered Johnson's disbarment. Okay. Interesting.
So, Johnson's lengthy history with Bill Joyner. So, Mr. Joyner's loan to Johnson. Mr. Joyner had the unmitigated misfortune of being contacted by Johnson in 2007. Johnson came to Joyner searching for a second loan on his residence, the property, which at the time was appraised for $1.7 million, because he was unable to obtain traditional financing. Mr. Joyner, through his family trust, provided a loan in the amount of $150,000, with a monthly payment of $1,500 based on Johnson's written loan application claiming that he had an income of no less than $25,000 per month. Later, through the litigation process, it was discovered that Johnson lied about his income. Johnson defaulted on that loan starting in 2011. As a result, Mr. Joyner recorded a notice of default against the property on June 16, 2011, after Johnson failed to make payments on his mortgage for 6 months. Due to Mr. Joyner's efforts to reach a workout with Johnson through multiple forbearance agreements, a notice of trustee's sale was not published until April 9th, 2014. So if to, translate the legal jargon, basically like Joyner was trying to, work out a deal here. But then, Johnson just wasn't able to do anything because he wouldn't.
Yeah,
get
he
a
was like
fucking
lying
job.
the whole time. He was like, "Yeah, I made like 25,000
Well, he wouldn't get a job
like a month." Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. And he like lied to the other guy to like give him a bunch of money, and that's like
Right.
why he got disbarred, which is insane.
Right.
You know.
After Johnson once again failed to make payments on the loan as agreed. In order to stop the foreclosure sale, Johnson's then wife, Shannon, filed 2 successive bankruptcy cases on the eve of the scheduled foreclosure dates. The bankruptcy court found that the successive bankruptcy filings were part of a scheme to hinder, delay, or defraud creditors and granted Mr. Joyner relief from stay. The property was then scheduled for a trustee's sale on March 20th, 2015.
Johnson and Mr. Joyner execute a settlement and release agreement. On March 18th, 2015, Mr. Joyner and the Johnsons released a settlement and release agreement, whereby Mr. Joyner agreed to extend the foreclosure sale date, and Kelly Johnson agreed that the foreclosure was not improper in any respect. In the settlement agreement, the Johnsons admitted their defaults under the loan and acknowledged the amounts owed. The parties further agreed that unless Johnson reinstated the loan on or before June 8th, 2015, Mr. Joyner would have the right to proceed with the foreclosure sale under the pending notice of trustees sale on June 9th, 2015. Johnson did not reinstate the loan.
Okay, so the foreclosure sale and unlawful detainer action. As agreed in the settlement agreement and in accordance with California non-judicial foreclosure requirements, Mr. Joyner foreclosed on the property on June 9th, 2015. After the Johnsons refused to vacate the property on June 25th of the same year, Mr. Joyner commenced unlawful detainer proceedings against the Johnsons in Orange County Superior Court, and then case number. The court in the UD action granted Mr. Joyner's motion for summary judgment and entered judgment in favor for Mr. Joyner on September 22nd.
Johnson's multiple failed attempts at the UD action. Johnson immediately appealed the UD judgment to the appellate division of the OCSC, case number blah blah blah, the first UD appeal. Johnson then sought that the granted stay of enforcement of the UD judgment a pending appeal, that the condition that he would make monthly payments of the reasonable rental value of the home. After Johnson failed to make the required payments, the court of the UD action lifted the stay and ordered final lockout to occur earlier than October 15th, 2016. Johnson appealed that order as well, commencing case number blah 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 blah, second UD appeal. To prevent eviction, however, Johnson again filed the bankruptcy protection, forcing Joyner to obtain relief from state to proceed. So he's like doing everything that he can so that like he doesn't get evicted from the property after the sale to Joyner.
Right.
Therefore, at December 2016, Johnson applied once again for the order of staying the eviction pending his appeals. On January 4th, 2017, the court at the UD action granted a stay of eviction until January 29th, 2017, but stated that the order no further stays would be granted, but stated in the order that no further stays would be granted. Johnson appealed that order as well, commencing case number blah blah blah, the third UD appeal. After extensive briefing and oral argument, the appellate division of the Orange County Superior Court issued an opinion on the first UD appeal on November 6th, 2017, affirming the UD judgment in full. The second UD appeal was dismissed as moot. The third UD appeal was dismissed for Johnson's failure to prosecute the case.
Okay, so then Johnson's relentless litigation and delay tactics. First, the wrongful foreclosure action. On June 8th, 2015, the day before the foreclosure sale, Johnson filed an unlimited civil action in OCSC against Mr. Joyner, among others, making many of the same allegations he made in the UD action and continues to make to this day. After dragging this out of litigation, Johnson dismissed the wrongful foreclosure action without prejudice. Johnson's request for dismissal was filed on the last business day before the February 2019 trial was to commence, and on the eve of the court's consideration of Joyner's motion for terminating sanctions and motion in limine, I don't know what that means, seeking to bar litigation of the issues decided in the UD judgment. And then unfair competition action. He files I mean, look, you get the idea, right? Like, I mean, he's filing all this shit to try to, like, bog down the court. I mean, that's kind of the point here, right? Bankruptcy court entered a non-dischargeable judgment against the Johnsons in the amount of $364,000. And he unsuccessfully appealed that judgment to the district court. Despite his absolute right to do so, Mr. Joyner's never taken steps to enforce that judgment. That's interesting. So, like, at every turn, it seems like Bill Joyner is, like, making attempts to be, like, kind of generous to Johnson. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, there's that. And then, like, all Johnson is doing here is he's just continually trying to delay and trying to, like, keep the property in some way, or he's trying to, like, dispute something so that, like, you know, the transfer doesn't go through and he's not, like, evicted. I mean, this guy's, like, a complete scumbag.
Right.
Like, there's a reason why he's, like, barred from just, you know, making a bunch of, like, litigious complaints against this Joyner guy. It's because he's done, like, insane amounts of work against this guy, you know? And the thing, too, is that in the documentary, they don't mention any of this. They paint this guy off as, like, you know, he made a lot of dumb decisions around this time, and he, you know, went kind of crazy. But they don't, like, mention the fact that this guy was doing everything in his power to keep the property, when in reality, like, years before, he probably should have sold it, and he probably should have downsized and, like, you know, moved somewhere else where it's, like, more affordable for, like, him and his family.
Right. So we can start back at Johnson's finally evicted and property sold. After the bankruptcy court granted relief from stay, the Johnsons filed numerous ex parte applications to stay enforcement of the UD judgment.
I mean, this is just saying that, like, he was evicted.
Yeah, he gets evicted, and then house is sold.
Yeah, Joyner gets the property. Joyner obtains a restraining order against Johnson, and Johnson unsuccessfully appeals. After enduring years of threats and harassment by Johnson, Mr. Joyner sought and obtained a restraining order against Johnson on October 17th, 2017. Mr. Joyner detailed in his declarations the numerous threats he has received from Johnson over the course of years. Johnson's activities in posting derogatory flyers about Joyner all over Joyner's community. Johnson's attempts to contact Mr. Joyner's children, and the video footage of the security cameras that showed Johnson peeping into his home at 1:30 a.m., among other things. Joyner's counsel also submitted a declaration demonstrating further threats and harassment by Johnson, including Johnson's email statement set forth in paragraph 2 above. So what's really important to note here is all of this is in the film.
Yep.
And, like, Andrew is beating into this. The 1:30 at night, like, peeping into his home. That's them in ghillie suits.
Yep.
This is just, like, crazy. Like, this is insane.
Yeah.
57.
57.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
There you go.
Based on these declarations and the testimony of Mr. Joyner at the hearing, the court entered a civil harassment restraining order requiring Johnson to remain at least 500 feet away from Mr. Joyner and his family. Johnson appealed the entry of the restraining order against him in case number blah, blah, blah at the Court of Appeals and issued an unpublished decision affirming the restraining order in full. The appellate court noted in its decision Johnson's hostile behavior would cause a reasonable person to suffer substantial emotional distress. Johnson started with emails to Joyner and Joyner's counsel accusing Joyner of fraud and perjury. In his emails, he stated Joyner was going to get all he deserves and regret what he has done to the Johnson family. He posted flyers and derogatory statements about Joyner, accusing him of being a financial predator, recording fraudulent documents, violating state and federal laws, and trying to steal Johnson's home. On 2 occasions, he accessed Joyner's private community without permission and posted these flyers. In one instance, he came into Joyner's property. He was seen on video surveillance walking up to and around Joyner's home, attempting to look over the gates and into the house in the middle of the night.
This is before Andrew.
Yeah, this is crazy too.
Well, but what's crazy about this, before you go on, what I just realized is, were they violating that restraining order when they were in with the ghillie suits? Were they more than 500 feet away?
I want to imagine they weren't, because
I wouldn't think
this
so.
got so the restraining order, if you recall, in in the previous part of this document. They said that expired in 2020, I think.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
So what's kind of crazy is that this should, like, they probably should have done a background check on this guy, right?
Oh,
and this
yeah.
legal document. Yeah, like, a lot of this stuff would have probably showed up if you looked up, like, Bill Joyner, you know, wherever he lives, like, Laguna Beach, blah, blah, blah. So they would know that he's already tried to, like, he's already done some of these things that they were doing in the documentary. So if I was Bill Joyner and I saw this, I would think that this Andrew guy was crazy and he was trying to, like, whip this guy up to do, like, similar things that he was doing all the way back in 2017. Like that's reasonable, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Temporary restraining order. I think we're here. Is that where we are?
We're at K.
Or H?
H,
Okay.
yeah.
Johnson files another lawsuit against Mr. Joyner and others and is declared a vexatious litigant. So on June 10th, 2019, Johnson filed another lawsuit repeating the same allegations contained in the previous lawsuits, and this time including the purchasers of the property, Michael and Diana Gross, in addition to Mr. Joyner's attorneys. As a gesture of goodwill, Mr. Joyner agreed to cover all legal expenses for the Grosses, and his counsel filed demurrers on behalf of all parties, which resulted in dismissal of the action. Mr. Joyner also filed a motion for an order declaring Johnson to be a vexatious litigant, and for a pre-filing order requiring that Johnson seek permission of the presiding judge before instituting any court proceedings in the state of California. Mr. Joyner's motion was granted in its entirety. Then,
despite having been declared a vexatious litigant, Johnson files 3 unsuccessful appeals without permission of the presiding judge and another lawsuit in the name of his daughter. Okay, I mean, that's kind of crazy.
Jesus.
Following the court's finding that Johnson is a vexatious litigant, Johnson commenced 3 separate appeals from the order from orders entered in the 2019 case, all of which were summarily dismissed. On May 19th, summarily dismissed, yeah. On May 19th, 2022, Johnson once again sued Mr. Joyner, again alleging fraud and wrongful foreclosure, among other things. And this time, Johnson used his daughter Kaylee Johnson as the named plaintiff. The court found his use of the daughter's name as plaintiff was a ruse to attempt to evade the vexatious litigant pre-filing order and dismiss the lawsuit based on that order. So one thing that's kind of interesting about all of this, right, is Andrew saw none of this. And later on in the documentary, he says, like, I haven't really questioned anything that Kelly's doing. If he had all this knowledge before he made this documentary, he would know that a lot of the things that he was attempting are, like, things that would not work. And that what he was filming Kelly Johnson doing in most of the documentary, handing out those flyers to people that are near Bill Joyner's home, you know, doing all sorts of demonstrations. I think at one point he says, you know, maybe he has a case, like he talks a lot about, like, all these, like, legal, like, troubles that he's been having and the case against Bill Joyner. He would know that all this was BS because, like, this guy has already tried filing all these, like, you know, attempts at, you know, suing this guy. Like, he's already tried to, like, sue this guy, like, multiple times. And it's gotten to the point where, as a vexatious litigant, it all gets dismissed by court, like, on this pre-order. So, well,
and the question kind of becomes, like, obviously, if he had known all of this, the documentary would have been very different. But the question becomes, too, if he had known all of this, would he have even done it? Would it even happen? I don't know.
I mean, it would have changed, I guess, the way that you would have gone about doing the documentary. Maybe he would have focused more on, like, his past, you know, trying to file all these, like, appeals and, like, the desperate ways he was, you know, trying to get his home back. But because he doesn't know any of this, he frames a lot of this harassment behavior that this guy already got a restraining order for like, what, like a couple of years, as, like, just kind of like normal behavior that's allowed, you know?
Right. Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, you know, it is, like, a big, like, oversight that he left all of this out.
Huge. I mean, this is so basic, guys. Like, if you're doing a documentary on one person, you look into them beforehand. You know? You do a background check. You do all this stuff. Like, they can't make this argument that they didn't have the resources to do so. Like, they can say small indie independent as much as they want, but, like, the fact of the matter is anybody has the resources to do a basic background check. Like, I mean, it's just bullshit, right? Okay. Andrew Callahan. Callaghan claims to be a documentarian who started YouTube's Channel 5 and directed the HBO documentary known as This Place Rules. Callaghan has publicly identified himself as a guerrilla journalist. Callaghan resides in Phoenix, Arizona, and is a principal member of 3 entities, including Andrew Callahan LLC, Social Studies LLC, and Channel 5 LLC. Callaghan traveled from his residence in Arizona to California and other states to create the video recordings that are collectively intended to harass and intimidate Mr. Joyner, his spouse, and his minor children. Callaghan traveled from Arizona to California to surveil Mr. Joyner at his home and his place in business. Callaghan is also depicted in a ghillie suit with Johnson on private property that adjoins Mr. Joyner's property and residence, attempting to get footage of Mr. Joyner. Coordinated conduct by Mr. Joyner and Callaghan. Mr. Johnson and Callaghan. You want to do this? Or part of it?
Yeah, sure. Go up. On May 6th, 2024, Callaghan and Channel 5 released a video entitled Tour and Movie Announcement, in which they broadcast the impending release of a new documentary, stemming from a quote-unquote secret project Callaghan has been working on for years, dedicated to locating and confronting the arch nemesis of an interview subject he reveals later in the video. The video reveals the interview subject to be defendant Johnson, and the arch nemesis for whom Callaghan and Johnson hunted to be Mr. Joyner. In this video, Callaghan allows Johnson to rail unfettered against Mr. Joyner, repeating the same unfounded assertions Johnson alleged in each of his legal pleadings, all of which was found to be unsupported by every court that has touched this controversy. Johnson is also pictured wearing Channel 5 merchandise in front of a Channel 5 marked van brandishing a firearm. So yeah, this happens kind of like in the beginning of the documentary. I'm guessing they kind of use that as the promo. Johnson holds up a sign at multiple times in the video, and he states in bold letters, "Bill Joyner stole our home," and includes the name of the city and community in which Mr. Joyner resides. Yeah, so he just straight up like doxes him in the beginning of the documentary.
Correct.
The video shows Johnson outside of the gates of his community, clearly identifying the community in which Mr. Joyner and his family reside. So there's like another part in this documentary where he just like starts pointing to a place off the camera, and he says, "Bill Joyner lives here, and this is how he like ruined my life," right? Callaghan is also shown in Mr. Joyner's office with depictions of areas in the office that are accessible only with an authorized key card. So I don't know how true this is. I'm guessing it's true because, like, you know, I'm sure Joyner knows like how his office like operates. And that's definitely like I think we looked this up before. That's like trespass of an unauthorized area.
Yeah.
So like the main area of an office or like an office building, you can have sort of the front desk. Somehow he like went past that into this like
he gets into an elevator.
Accessible. Yeah. He gets into the elevator and then he goes into the office. And he's like literally in front of the office room. Like, you know how like offices, they used to have like cubicles and all that sort of stuff, and then like if you're really big, you have like kind of like your own room. So he goes straight up to the room, and then he like leaves a voice message on like the announcer like in front of it. The later half of the video is dedicated to Callaghan's announcement of a North American tour, in which the untitled documentary will be shown in theaters in 38 different locations, accompanied by live questions and answers with Callaghan at the screening. According to third parties that attended Callaghan's Channel 5 live show tour in November and December 2022, a preview of the upcoming alleged untitled documentary was shown to a live audience. It was revealed that the film was going to be titled Finding Bill Joyner. Callaghan also confirmed this title in a statement online in November 2022. I mean, that's kind of interesting, right? Because, again...
I'd love to find that.
Yeah, if you look at the... video that he released recently, he just says like, oh yeah, the Bill Joyner case, that's like a very small part of this documentary, when he's gonna title it like Finding Bill Joyner. So
right,
him saying like, I've never met the guy, this whole like smoke and mirrors.
Another thing that Sprate points out that I think it's good to kind of hit on is the fact that this whole thing of Kelly using his daughter as a meat shield for like the lawsuit, like the lawfare stuff that we were talking about earlier, like completely undermines like this image that Andrew tries to set for him of being like this family man. You know what I mean? Like it's just a complete undermining of that. Like it's just, this is not the guy who he's depicting him as, you know? I mean, obviously he does show that he has flaws and stuff like that, but it's like,
I mean, to be fair, I don't know if that's the image that he wanted to portray. He does very little commentary on that. Like the number one thing that he says is like he needs to take more responsibility for his actions, but most of the commentary is coming from the kid. So like for instance, his son says when you first meet his son says, "Yeah, I started calling my dad son because I sometimes feel like the father to my dad."
God, that is depressing.
So, yeah, I mean, he does portray him like this mentally ill like kid, right?
Yeah.
And like his kids are like in ways a bit more mature than his dad, right? And they're like almost taking care of him. So I don't know if that's like 100% true.
Fair enough. Okay.
You want to continue?
Sure. Are we at 74 or 75?
74, I think.
Okay, 74. After a friend contacted Mr. Joyner and told him about the tour and movie announcement video the friend saw advertised on social media, Mr. Joyner's investigation began. Further online research revealed that Callaghan and Johnson have had an ongoing personal and professional relationship since at least April 11th of 2021, when Callaghan claims to have met Johnson at a White Lives Matter rally that Callaghan filmed and later released footage from on Channel 5. From that time forward, Johnson takes the name Kelly G. Oh my God, what is happening? Am I having a stroke? Kelly J. Patriot, and appears in several Channel 5 videos, including Hollywood Anti-Vax Rally and Q Shaman Comes Home, in which it is claimed that Johnson arranged for Callaghan to have the first interview with Jacob Chansley, aka the QAnon Shaman, after Chansley's release from prison. The claim is belied, however, by another of Callaghan's Channel 5 videos, Q Shaman Prison Interview, in which Callaghan states to Chansley while he's still in prison, "I have this friend named Kelly Johnson who I was telling you about, and we're making a documentary on, and yeah, I kind of want you to meet him." It is clear that Callaghan had a relationship with Chansley before he left prison and before Chansley was introduced to Johnson. In Callaghan's video
of the White Lives Matter rally in April 2021, Johnson is shown spouting the same unfounded claims he alleged in multiple courts, asserting that Bill Joyner, quote-unquote, stole his home and ruined his life by, quote-unquote, falsifying a trustee's deed and committing multiple violations of the law, all of which was decisively rejected by every court that analyzed the records in the various cases litigated between Johnson and Mr. Joyner. Since that time, Johnson and his obsession with Mr. Joyner, who Johnson scapegoats as having destroyed his life, have garnered substantial attention and internet traffic from viewers of Channel 5. Comments on Callaghan's White Lives Matter rally video seek to vilify Mr. Joyner, and attendees at a previous live show put on by Callaghan are shown enthusiastically chanting "Fuck Bill Joyner" on a lengthy segment of the show. The videos of the live show reveal that the defendant Johnson is actually one of the performers on the stage as he joins in with the crowd's chants. While at first it appears that Callaghan was simply reporting on the story of Kelly Johnson, it is clear at some point the two became close, and Callaghan has been taking on Johnson's crusade against Mr. Joyner as his own. So I would like to see the timeline on this, because it could be the case that, like, if you look at the unedited footage and you put it like sequential, you put it like in chronological order, they were thinking about at one point like trying to maybe not exonerate Kelly Johnson's like beliefs, but like at least like playing in with him and like kind of hoping he wins. And in a sense, they do like play into his like into his delusions by saying, hey, you know, we can try to find this guy or whatever, and we can have like a face-on-face like confrontation.
And they make him seem sympathetic, especially towards the beginning parts of the documentary.
Oh yeah, like maybe there was a plan to like go much further in that direction.
Right.
Because it took them a very long time to make this documentary, as you can see through this. Because like they contacted this guy back in 2021, it said above, or something like that. And so they were doing a bunch of stuff all the way until like 2022 with this guy.
Right.
Callaghan himself is shown reciting the same mantra at the show in Portland in November 2022, promising the crowd that he will return. After we get that home back from Bill Joyner, we're going to fuck Bill Joyner. The crowd chants in response, fuck Bill Joyner. Okay, this is crazy.
Bro.
So if they say after we are going to get that home back from Bill Joyner, okay,
That's
that is
diabolical, bro.
crazy.
That's diabolical.
Yeah.
Like,
So they left that out, right? Like,
yeah.
okay, so this is really hard to like explain. But like I said before, if you chronologically put this in order, it does seem like at a certain point he was like agreeing with Kelly that this guy is like a horrible person, that they're going to get the house back.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like insane. Like these
Yeah.
guys did none of their research. They didn't do any background checks on this guy. And this guy's like a crazy person, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, Callaghan goes on, nobody should steal a home. It's not right.
Okay, that's even more crazy.
Yeah, so he just left out all of this in like the new video.
Well, and
just
he's
like, yeah, guys.
and he's affirming that Joyner stole the home.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Look, he didn't like sell that or whatever, and he said this at like a huge event.
Sure.
But I mean, that's got to count as slander or something. Like,
I mean, it was well, and as you're saying, it's at a huge event. Like, I mean, that's the thing. It's like I mean, that's just ridiculous to me.
Yeah. An audience member then asks a clarifying question, and in his response, Callaghan states, "We know some things about Bill Joyner, that's for sure. He didn't actually steal the home, if that's what you're asking, but he gave an unfair loan, I think. We'll figure out more in time. We've staked out his corporate office. We've gone to psychotic lengths to identify and find
Dude!
him." But yeah, no, Bill yet. We'll get him. It's a work in progress. Okay, so they're saying we're going to, nobody should steal a home, and we're gonna get the home back, and then they're just like, they just immediately backtrack, and they're like, yeah, but we've also stalked this guy, and we're gonna like find him. Like, okay.
Jesus.
I don't even know what to say about this. Like,
I don't either. Like, this is actually fucking insane. Okay. Later in the same live segment, Callaghan confirmed his inability to separate himself from his work. Audience member: as y'all are getting more and more popular, do you find it harder to stay, like, in character? Is that line getting blurred? Callaghan: I think the line between character and me is the one that's getting blurred. You know what I mean? I'm just becoming the guy, you know? But whereas before I was like suit man, regular guy, now it's all just like one blend. It's why I don't wear the suit anymore, and it's why the mic is so small. So yeah, it was hard for a bit, and then you just become that guy. You become a magnet for the people that you necessarily wouldn't want to talk to in a previous life. In December 2021, Callaghan was quoted as saying, "This one guy we document a lot is named Kelly Johnson, aka SoCal Kelly, aka Kelly J. Patriot. He was at January 6th, and he's the most hardcore Trump soldier there is. He fell down the rabbit hole because he took a predatory loan from a shitty mortgage company prior to the 2008 financial crisis. I'm sure that there are people who are just fucked in the head, but a lot of these people, they did get done wrong by someone." Callaghan has even had Johnson act in promotional videos that he's released to advertise his Channel 5 merchandise. In another Channel 5 video entitled "Patriotism, Tattoos, and Being a Shaman," Callaghan states in the video description, "Special thank you to Bert and Kelly J. Patriot for making this possibly. They're great people and excellent sources. Check them out," and then fuck off.
They link his website. Amazing.
They do link his
Forbidden
website. Incredible.
Truth Podcast.
Forbidden Truth Podcast.
The close connection between Callaghan and Johnson is a great cause for concern, given Callaghan's substantial YouTube and social media audience, his apparent willingness to stalk Mr. Joyner and trespass on private property in search of him, and the intent to release a film dedicated almost entirely to Johnson's crusade to destroy Mr. Joyner without cause. Johnson once promised in various emails to Mr. Joyner, "You're going to go down, and the question is when and how hard. I hope Joyner is happy and he will pay dearly for it. He has wrongfully put your will pay dearly for what he has wrongfully put your family through, and you will pay in a big way, Bill. I guarantee it." Callaghan has now provided Johnson the platform to make his threats a reality and incite further aggression against Mr. Joyner and his family.
Okay, wait.
So,
before you, okay, go ahead, and then I have something.
Yeah. I think the big point here is that if they do pursue this in court, I think they're going to argue on the fact that this guy's a private person, And like on the Chud stream, they actually like look this up. So let me look this up and sort of legal definition and sort of read it out loud, because a lot of people, they don't really know what this term means. So a private person, the term private person means a person that does not have a sovereign or any special immunity privilege which causes the person not to be subject to legal process. Okay, that's not a good definition. Trying to find like the correct one, because there's like a bunch of ways you can use this term. Private person, legal definition versus like, public celebrity. Maybe that'll... Yeah, public figure versus private figure. Okay. When dealing with speech-related claims and specifically defamation, a public figure is generally defined as a person who has assumed a role of specific prominence or thrust themselves in the public eye. There's no set list of jobs or professions that would qualify as a public figure. Generally speaking, politicians, celebrities, and other professions that might place someone in the public eye is considered public figures. A private figure is the opposite. Someone who has not sought out the spotlight or public attention. And I don't know what Joyner did to like count as someone that would, seek out the spotlight or public protection. I mean,
he hasn't done anything.
It's kind of... Yeah, I mean, he's like a private lender.
Right.
And he engaged in a legal transaction under like a bunch of lies that Kelly like sold to him. He's like, "Oh yeah, we make $25,000, a month or whatever," when he made nothing, and he paid him back nothing. And then did all these like stupid lawsuits to, extend the eviction and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, I mean, like boosting this guy's like, boosting his profile out to millions of people. And then additionally to that, framing him as like part of the Epstein class, which is what like he kind of does in like the promo and the documentary. Well, not the Epstein class, kind of like, this like predatory like lender or whatever. Yeah, he's going to get a lot of like he's going to get a lot of pushback from that from people online. So
the one thing that a chatter noted as well is it's strange that Andrew up here, we'll go back down, we're at 87, but it's strange that he says here in this part, he fell down the rabbit hole because he took a predatory loan from a shitty mortgage company prior to the 2008 financial crisis. Is that just like entirely unrelated? Like, what is that about? Because we know that the loan that he took from Joyner was way after that. Is this just an entirely unrelated thing?
Yeah, I think this is just something else. Like he's just trying to get like
just a sympathy thing.
I think he was just getting like money out of his house or whatever, and then he lost his job and he couldn't pay it back, and so he got the additional loan from Joyner. He's trying to make a sympathy claim.
Sure. Okay.
As the Callaghan film grew closer to premiere and Mr. Joyner's name was further broadcast on the World Wide Web, more individuals returned to stalk his residence and his family. Mr. Joyner has security video footage of at least 2 individuals stalking his residence from the rear of the property using binoculars to observe the residence before sunlight within the week prior to filing of this action. In his home and his place of business, Mr. Joyner has reasonable expectations of privacy. His home is not open to the public and is indeed situated within a gated community that restricts access to non-invitee third parties. There is also perimeter fencing along the back of the property on which his residence is placed. Similarly, Mr. Joyner's place of business has a secured entrance that can only be opened by a key card system or by a release function that allows the doors to be unlocked from a distance by only authorized employees. Okay.
Channel 5 defendants unlawful entry into Mr. Joyner's gated community. The gated community in which Mr. Joyner and his family reside controls access through a staffed guard shack. Visitors may only enter if their name appears on a pre-approved access list maintained by the community, or if they are otherwise specifically authorized by a resident. Defendants' names were not on the approved access list, and no resident in the community had authorized their entry. Rather than seek lawful authorization, the Channel 5 defendants obtained entry through subterfuge. Channel 5 defendants recruited and enlisted the grandson of a resident of the community whose name appeared on the community's approved access list to serve as a conduit for their unauthorized entry. That's interesting. Okay. So that's how they got it. Okay. Yeah. I don't think that's never mentioned in the documentary, is it?
No. To be fair, I don't think that's necessarily like illegal, right? Like if I want to get to someone's home and they're in a gated community, and then I know someone else who lives in the gated community and they like pass me in, I mean, that's fine.
I mean, even though it's like under false pretenses though?
Do they need to give the reason when they're in like the front of the community? I don't know. Like
not.
Whenever I go to like gated communities, they basically just say like, hey, can you like call in the guy that's gonna like bring you in?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, yeah, this person. And then
I
they're
guess
like,
that's
yeah,
fair.
you know.
Okay.
The guard shack, the grandson announced his own name and not the defendant's name to gain passage for himself and the defendants together. Okay. I mean, that maybe we pause Andy there.
Yeah, I feel like we did. So, yeah, right. Okay. Channel 5 defendants concealed their cameras and other recording equipment as they passed through the access point. The grandson's facilitation of Channel 5 defendants' entry was in itself unauthorized and unsanctioned by any resident of the community. The grandson was aware that his grandfather would not have approved. The grandson asked the Channel 5 defendants to conceal his involvement with their trespass because he feared repercussions. Indeed, documents reveal that when the grandfather learned of his grandson's conduct, he removed his name from the approved access list. Fair enough. Channel 5 defendants' passage through the community was furtive throughout. Defendants were aware that their presence and purpose, if discovered, would result in their removal. Defendants' entry was made without the knowledge or approval of any resident authorized to invite defendants onto community property.
Channel 5 defendants hire a lawyer to threaten Mr. Joyner.
Uh-oh.
Okay. On May 30th, 2024, Mr. Joyner's counsel received a letter from a lawyer named Abigail B. Everdell. That is in response to Mr. Joyner's demand letter of May 23rd to the various venues that have advertised showing of the Callaghan film. In her letter, Mr. Everdell admits that, quote, while the film has not yet been finalized, end quote, she wishes to explain that the Callaghan film is actually not a threat to Mr. Joyner, and Mr. Joyner had completely missed the point of what the quote-unquote not yet finalized film is about. According to Miss Everdale, in the Callaghan film, Mr. Callahan probes Mr. Johnson's vendetta against Mr. Joyner. Again, according to Miss Everdale, the Callaghan film does not adopt or encourage Mr. Johnson's beliefs about Mr. Joyner. In fact, the film does the opposite, emphasis in original. With respect to Callahan's recorded and broadcasted statements to a crowd of people in a theater in Portland, Oregon, including Callahan's statement, after we get that home back from Bill Joyner, we're gonna fuck Bill Joyner, with the crowd chanting in response, fuck Bill Joyner, Miss Everdale explains that these chants shown in these videos are not sincerely directed at Mr. Joyner. What? Rather, according to Miss Everdale, the chants merely reflected the audience's... Go ahead.
Sorry.
Affection for a unique character, Mr. Johnson, who figured in some of Mr. Callahan's prior videos. Miss Everdale does not identify any portion of the not yet finalized Callaghan film that shows the audience's chants of fuck Bill Joyner. They were not a threat towards Mr. Joyner, but simply a display of affection to a person not named in the chants. Miss Everdale also refers to the chants directed and encouraged by Callaghan as off-the-cuff statements.
Oh, come on, man. Okay.
I mean, he does take it back immediately, but
I mean, sure, but it's just like, come on.
It's like, we're gonna steal this guy's home in Minecraft,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's a lot of that happening in the documentary.
Right.
With respect to the video's evidence of Callaghan and Johnson surveilling Mr. Joyner's property shown in the preview of the Callaghan film, where Johnson's stalking and surveilling has previously been adjudicated by the California Court of Appeals as hostile behavior that would cause a reasonable person to suffer substantial emotional distress, according to Miss Everdale, the reality of the surveillance was hardly cause for concern. So obviously this is a pretty bad argument because they literally do what Kelly was doing, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, or whatever.
Yeah.
4 years ago. Which led him to getting a restraining order.
Right.
Again, according to Miss Everdale, in reality, Callaghan pantomimed surveillance with Mr. Johnson dressed in a ghillie suit. Moreover, according to Miss Everdale, Callahan and Johnson were in the vicinity of Mr. Joyner's house when they pantomimed surveillance in ghillie suits, but did not film Mr. Joyner's house specifically to Mr. Callahan's knowledge. So I will say this. I don't think they were like filming the house in the documentary. I think they were like filming them trying to look at the house and trying to see him inside the house.
I mean, but even so, like, is the argument here, are they genuinely making the argument of like, guys, it was just a meme? Because that's what that sounds like. Like, guys, it was just a meme. Like, we were just like pantomiming. Like, that word pantomiming, it feels like it's like this, you know, them trying to make this argument of like, well, guys, it's just a meme. Like, we weren't actually going to do anything.
Yeah. I mean,
it was just for entertainment.
I don't know how much of this is like really sort of important if they never filmed him inside his house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here, however, is where Miss Everdale's emendations of the quote-unquote not yet finalized Callahan film stop and where the threats begin. Okay, interesting. Apparently unaware of California Civil Code Section 47B of common law litigation privilege, Miss Everdale claims that Mr. Joyner's demand letter to the venues that advertised upcoming broadcasts of the Callaghan film is a threatening letter citing inaccurate facts and baseless legal claims in an intentional attempt to cause the venues to stop performance of their obligations. Ms. Everdale then states, to the extent that your client is successful in his efforts to induce the venues to violate their contracts, he will not be liable for financial consequences. He will be liable for financial consequences. Well, certainly... Oh, are you going to say something?
Real quick, what I was going to say is I just kind of thought of a way that, like, it actually kind of might matter, right? This whole pantomime thing. Because it does further embolden, like, Kelly's actions. And it essentially is this guy who is like being like, yeah, this is totally okay to do. Like, this is fine. Like, it's cool to camp outside of like fucking Bill Joyner's house. That's actually cool. So like, what's going to stop like Johnson from doing that himself? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he's getting encouragement from Andrew for that. I don't know. I feel like it could be like it could lend to the argument of like escalating the behavior.
It depends on what part of the like this what do you call it? The complaint that this is touching. Because originally I thought this was like touching on like the invasion of privacy sort of stuff, and the trespass. I mean, I guess like the trespass counts.
Yeah.
With the fact that he like goes into the gay community off like false pretenses and like he hides all the like camera equipment and all that sort of stuff. But if it's talking about that, I don't think it's as good. If it's as good of a case, I think if they're talking about the harassment, it's like a much better case, right?
Yeah,
so.
I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. 103.
Miss Everdale then states, to the extent that your client is successful in his efforts to induce the venues to violate their contracts, he will be liable for the financial consequences. Okay, so they're claiming this is a threat because they're saying that Joyner's going to be liable for the financial consequence of shutting down the venues. While certainly not the most egregious threat of the innumerable threats already made by Callahan and Johnson to Mr. Joyner, and admittedly not an actionable threat, but induced here solely for the context and background, the threats issued by Callahan and his counsel demonstrate that defendants have no intention of desisting from broadcasting and selling the Callahan film. I mean, yeah. Like, at the end of the film, he literally says, yeah, we're going to release this. We don't care about all the, complaints.
Right. Publication of the Callaghan film, we'll skim this a tiny bit. Like, we're not going to, go... We get the idea on some of it. But I think decently important details in here is it was on purchase for $15, or you could rent
it grossed
for $5.
$100,000 on the
It grossed $100,000 in the opening weekend. But these are all the places it toured. Despite their awareness of damages, the Callaghan film and the tour and movie and announcement caused Mr. Joyner in 2024. The version of the Callaghan film released to the public on January 2025 continued not only to portray Mr. Joyner in a false light and illicit and publish false and misleading statements about Mr. Joyner. It also had a new ending designed to incite further public vitriol towards this private individual who multiple state and federal courts have found committed no wrongdoing. The last audible words...
I mean, I would...
Go ahead.
I would agree, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, the last audible words of the 2025 Callaghan film, shouted by one of the Channel 5 star characters, are "fuck Bill Joyner," followed by a text explaining to the audience that the existence of this lawsuit, that Mr. Joyner promised to dismiss the lawsuit if the Channel 5 defendants refrained from publishing the Callaghan film, and that the Channel 5 defendants defiantly dropped it anyways. So yeah, that's kind of like the last three like frames of this film.
Yeah. The 2025 Callaghan film incited renewed interest in Mr. Joyner's personal life and renewed public discourse online about his character and threats to his safety. In addition to the countless comments and posts online containing the words "fuck Bill Joyner" or hashtag "fuck Bill Joyner," viewers of the film have published statements such as "I'd smoke Bill on sight," and "Bill Joyner, I'm coming for you even if Kelly isn't," and "Bill Joyner needs to be taken down," and "Bill Joyner, domestic terrorist." Mr. Joyner and his family have been harassed and mocked by peers as a result of the 2025 Callaghan film and continue to live in fear for their safety.
Yep. I mean, yeah. Mr. Joyner's discovery defendant's court surveillance. The surveillance, trespass, and covert recording operations described in this complaint were conducted by the defendants without Mr. Joyner's knowledge because defendants deliberately concealed their activities, entering adjacent property under the cover of ghillie suit camouflage, gaining entry to Mr. Joyner's gated community through subterfuge, accessing his place of business under false pretenses. Mr. Joyner had no knowledge and no reasonable means to discover the nature, scope, or existence of defendants' covert conduct until it was publicly revealed. On about May 6th, 2024, a friend of Mr. Joyner alerted him to a video entitled "Torn Movie Announcement" that had been published by defendants Callaghan and Channel 5 on social media. Upon reviewing that video and therefore conducting further investigation, Mr. Joyner learned for the first time that defendants Callaghan and Johnson were attempting to surveil him from at least the property behind his house. Through discovery in federal court action defined above, Mr. Joyner discovered additional acts of trespass and unlawful invasion of privacy, including those giving rise to liability for trespass to land and invasion of privacy to capture physical impression as alleged herein. Prior to that discovery, Mr. Joyner did not know and could have not reasonably known about the exercise of due diligence that defendants had committed these acts of trespass, covert recording, and unlawful invasion of privacy alleged in this complaint to extent any cause of action accrued before Mr. Joyner's discovery of these violations. Applicable statutes of limitations were told under the delayed discovery rule until Mr. Joyner discovered or reasonably could not have discovered the facts giving rise to his claims. So one thing that I think is interesting about this point is that in the second legal sort of filing, Bill Joyner kind of wants a lot of access to the unedited footage of this documentary. And I think it's around there that they learn about like all these like trespass complaints. And I don't remember if that's in the second filing that they put in, but they're claiming here that there's like some legal reason for why they're like moving forward with this complaint, because in like discovery they found out about all these like attempts at trespass and like how they actually got onto the property, right, and how it was like under false pretenses. So
right. This is just talking about the prior federal action, like when they did the federal suit. And what's interesting about this is that it was also, so the defendants were Andrew Callahan, Channel 5 LSE, Evan Gilbert Katz, and Nicholas Mosher, as well as Kelly Scott Johnson. So his whole crew at the time. Okay, so I think that we can kind of skip ahead on this stuff.
Yeah, we can probably look at this later.
Yeah, we can skip ahead on that. First cause for action, invasion of privacy. Plaintiff realleges and incorporates all facts above, as we said, at all times relevant herein. Yeah, we can skip through that. So this is just like saying why it's legitimate for them to do this. Trespass, right?
Okay, so can you go back up?
Yeah.
So let's just like kind of note what the complaints are. So for the first cause of action, go up.
It is invasion of privacy.
Yeah, so for invasion of privacy, if you go down a bit, it seems like they're talking about his no, just
sorry.
Go up, sorry. Okay. Yeah, just go down a bit more. So Mr. Joyner's residence is located within a gated community, blah blah blah. So this is talking about his like private property.
Correct.
And the defendants were used recording devices, including a drone and night vision binoculars, to attempt to penetrate and record images of Mr. Joyner's residence and Mr. Joyner. So that's sort of the allegation here for the privacy complaint. So this is his
and the place of business.
Property. Oh yeah, and the place of business with a key card. Yeah, so go down.
Yep.
I think we can go to the next complaint.
Trespass.
So for trespass, this is again about the gated community.
Residential property.
Residential property.
Gated community again. Gated community. The grandfather-grandson stuff.
Place of business with respect to Mr. Joyner's place of business.
Yep. Place of business.
Okay, keep
False
going down.
pretenses. No permission. Proximate.
Third cause of action, defamation.
Defamation.
Mr. Joyner obtained title to the Johnson property through fraudulent means, including by falsifying a trustee's deed and causing fraudulent recorded documents to be filed. Mr. Joyner stole the Johnson family home. Yeah, so this is just talking about sort of boosting Kelly's sort of beliefs.
Yep. Okay. And that he committed crimes, civil wrongdoings, etc.
Yeah, that's like defamation per se. Like if you accuse someone of a crime, yeah.
Right.
It's pretty bad.
Fourth cause, intentional infliction of emotional distress.
I think we can skip this one. This is basically just talking about his threats, I'm guessing.
Negligence.
Fifth cause, negligence.
Also makes sense.
Owed Mr. So at all times relevant herein, defendants and each of them owed Mr. Joyner a duty of ordinary care under blah, blah, blah. This would not cause foreseeable harm to him. In particular, defendants owed Mr. Joyner the duty not to commit acts of tortious intrusion, trespass, and covert surveillance against him. Duties that are generally applicable to all persons and impose no special obligation on defendants by virtue of any media or journalistic activity. Because, he's like a private figure, so makes a lot of sense. Go down.
No reason.
Yeah, I don't think we're...
Common law, invasion of privacy, same difference. Invasion of privacy, false light, same difference. Intrusion upon seclusion, it's kind of just part of the getting in when they're not supposed to be. And then this violation of California Business and Professions Code.
Okay, what's this about? As a result of foregoing violations, plaintiff is required to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in security equipment, including, but not limited to, high-speed infrared cameras at the perimeter of the home for views of the curtilage. In addition, plaintiff was required to terminate his affiliation with the company that he founded and decline at least 2 years of continued remuneration to avoid further damage to the company's reputation. Okay, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if he substantiated that here, but if that's true, that's wild.
Right.
Prayer for relief, we can skip this.
What is that? Is that just...
You just have to put that at the end of the court complaint.
And that's the end. Okay. So, here's what we'll do now. Here's what we'll do now. We are going to get into some of this extra stuff, like this podcast segment, and some of this other stuff that's kind of going to be foundational to the way that Andrew thinks and stuff like that. First, because I've kept it off long enough.
No, so this is a podcast segment for this guy's channel,
but it
talks about the movie. Yeah,
it's referenced and shown in the documentary, is it not? That he goes on there? Because isn't that how we... So. Oh, I thought that's how we knew that this happened. How do we find out about this? Did you just look it up?
I found out about this by looking it up. And
Okay. For some reason, I thought it was... Okay. I'm with it now.
Hank sent a derail, so do you want to go through that?
Oh.
We watch that?
Yeah. Might as well. Yeah. Oh, dude, this reminds me of when I ate guinea pig in Peru.
I had an ex who did that, and they told me about that. I'll be honest, I've eaten, worse stuff, but...
It's a delicacy. Listen, it's not a delicacy, but it's like a normal thing to eat in Peru. I don't know. It was an interesting experience. It wasn't very good. I wouldn't do it again, but it's fun being able to say.
It just sounds really gamey,
It was. It absolutely was. And they serve it whole, which was frightening. Hey, for $10, I'll show you the image of me holding up the. Maybe I can't even do that. It's food. It's food though. I should be able to, right? Because it's like a fry.
No. You can show that on.
Okay, yeah. For $10, I'll show you guys the picture of me holding that up as a 14-year-old and about to embark on my delicious meal. Okay.
Bill Joyner is suing you.
Yeah.
For people like he's the boogeyman of this film, and allegedly, he's the. And then, like, to be fair, you did not paint him as the boogeyman.
That's what I think, and I tried to tell him that.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I mean, I agree with that, but that's not what the complaint is about at this point, right? Like, it's about the fact that, well, a little bit, I guess. Like, at the end, he does.
He makes him look like a bad guy. Like, Boogeyman's a little bit charged, right? But, like it's not the way that Johnson sees him, where he's, like, clearly a fucking, like, demon in Johnson's eyes. But, like, at the same time, he certainly makes him look bad.
The cornstarch ladies all look like they have thyroid problems. Anemia and thyroid issues is crazy. Derail in thread.
We'll watch the derail after this. Thank you. Yeah, I think that he still does, like, I mean, he depicts him to look bad, right? Like, I mean, I think that that's pretty undeniable. Like, especially, like, again, I know that I keep on harkening back to this, but it's like that part where they're just, like, talking about how he ruined everything and then immediately starts showing, like, sympathetic videos of, Johnson and his family together. I don't know. I think that it's indisputable that he makes him look bad, for sure.
I tell him. You kind of showed the world that, hey, this guy didn't really do anything wrong.
Yeah. Well, the loss.
But he did. Unless he's talking about Joyner. Is he talking about Joyner or Johnson?
No, he's talking about Joyner.
Oh.
I think. Yeah.
Okay.
It was filed before
can
the
you go
film
back
even
a
came
bit?
out.
I think you're right. I'm just confused by that.
And then, like, to be fair, you did not paint him as the boogeyman.
That's what I think, and I tried to tell him that. I tried to tell him.
You kind of showed the world that, hey, this guy didn't really do anything wrong.
Yeah. Well, the lawsuit was filed before.
I don't know if I agree with that, but
he tries to basically do that at the end, right? He says, we dug into it. Basically, in the beginning of the video, he says, yeah, I don't think this guy stole his house. And then at the end of the video, he says, well, looks like, him getting into all this debt was kind of his own fault. So, in a way, that's true.
I suppose, yeah. But it's like, I don't know. It feels a little too late. Maybe that's just me, though.
Before the film even came out.
So you're kind of hoping he's seen the movie, maybe eases up a little.
Well, I think that him and his lawyer, from what I can see by the court filings, they think that we are, like, big, that we're on Kelly's, like, exact team, and that we're corroborating his narrative about the home foreclosure.
Right.
But in reality...
Well, that's not necessarily what the complaint says. The complaint says that you said in a showing of the film, like, fuck Bill Joyner, we're gonna, like, take that house from him, and then, like, immediately
and then we're gonna
backtrack.
fuck him. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the complaints are very specific in the filing. They're mostly about the trespass. They're mostly about the fact that you're enabling this guy to do the things that he was doing, which got him a restraining order. You're, like, doing all these things, and you're feeding into his delusions at the time to the point where apparently the damages were that he couldn't start a new business because, like, Kelly was, like, on his, like, tail, like, trying to figure out what that was, and he had to spend everything from that. And then also that he had to, like, buy cameras, like, around his house and get, like, a home security system. So
yeah.
The actual lawsuit says violation of the Federal Wiretap Act. Like, he thought we were tapping his phone lines. It says stalking, emotional distress. Like,
I mean, that's just, like, part of the first filing. And that was, like, before they even saw, like, any of the footage, So.
And that's what he did during his video talking about it initially. Like, he downplays it and really only talks about the first one, like, in a ton of detail.
Right. Or, I mean, emotional distress. I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, no. So are you worried about the lawsuit at all?
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, thankfully, like, we filed an anti-slap motion. It's like some thing basically where if someone sues you for defamation or whatever, you can do an anti-slap motion, which is like SLAPP. Basically means, like, it's within my rights as a documentary filmmaker to share someone's perspective, even if you disagree with it.
And you knew that this lawsuit was already kind of in motion and still decided to release the movie.
Yeah, because the judge dismissed what's called oral argument. So that's like when they expect both attorneys to show up and make their case, and is deliberating for like a 180-day period or something.
Right.
So what that tells me is that the judge has kind of made up her mind to the point that she didn't even want to hear from my lawyer or Bill's lawyer.
That makes sense.
So I won't know if she's Team Bill or Team Channel 5 for like at least 90 days.
Damn, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, good luck.
Thanks. I mean, it's going to be fine, like, I think.
I think, too, like, I think this movie, like, because I know you had opened the movie kind of explaining, like, hey, you know, because I thought the HBO documentary was amazing.
Thank you.
But it was crazy to see, like even like then, like you had to kind of like, you know, you're playing by the rules a bit when you're doing something with a big partner like that. And so this was like straight to the.
Yeah, I mean, I finished the movie Dear Kelly one day before it came out. Like I did a final color and sound pass and put the right songs on, like literally the day before it came out. So
shit's crazy.
In comparison,
Dude, that's
the
like how we
HBO
edit.
film was picture locked, so finished without color and audio 9 months before the release date.
Damn. Do you feel like this is kind of the new way because I mean you're doing well, right?
Yeah.
It sold a lot, you know. I saw some. I think you know broke some record. Or something
I think we got 100,000 in sales in the first weekend,
which is amazing.
Which is like a record since Coney 2012 for a direct to consumer streamed video.
Do you feel like that? Because at the end of the day, you put so much work into like some of these videos you do, which is why I think it's important to support the Patreon.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
Because you put a ton of work, bro. Like this is like real journalism. Like like people will see shit on the news. You're actually
this is
like
real
going to.
It's real journalism when we get in ghillie suits and we go outside of fucking Bill Joyner's property. That's real journalism.
Wherever it's happening and finding out what is going on
in the field. And we really have no bosses. A lot of people, they masquerade as being independent, you know what I mean? Because you see them on the street with the, you know, but they
like I'm with.
So you're disputing the fact that absolutely Tim Heidegger's parent company is your boss. I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. It's that. Am I going out of bounds?
He's not a boss. He's a co-owner of
course, right?
That we are dealing. Yeah.
Right. I mean, if he's unhappy with you, then he's not going to be a co-owner anymore. But no, he's not a boss. Yeah. Okay, sure.
Vice, I'm independent journalist.
Right, but you know what I mean? Like, we're actually like not beholden to anybody, which is why they don't like us.
By the way, thank you for not like doing like cringy weird shit like Vice used to do, where like I did heroin for 30 days straight. This is what happened.
You know what's crazy though, bro, is that Vice, when I was a youngster, I'm 27.
Oh, back in the day, it was amazing.
So sick. So I always say when people talk shit about Vice, I'm like, yes, Vice makes some pretty ass shit nowadays. However,
it used to be the shit.
Back
when they would go to the Congo and
dude, General Butt Naked. Do you remember that one? Yeah. Or even the David Cho series, Thumbs Up America. Like without that series, I probably wouldn't have hitchhiked across the U.S. I probably wouldn't have made videos. I probably wouldn't have been here.
That shit's crazy. Bro.
They made journalism cool again.
Yeah.
Before Vice, I don't think there was anybody actually pushing the envelope, except for like Louis Theroux in the UK with BBC. But like journalism wasn't like badass until Vice.
Sure. Okay. So that's that. Here, let's do this derail real quick, and then we'll get to the next one.
Guys, we have to do something badass, or like no one's gonna watch my documentary.
That's so fucking true, though. In actuality, wait, where's the derail? Kitty, what are you doing?
That does seem to be the new meta. It's like you just do something really stupid and then you blow up.
You said
you do something really stupid and like intimidate someone to the point where they're like shutting down businesses, and that's how you get like a documentary made, I guess.
Right. Weird. Okay. So Kitty said that there was a derail and there's just not one. That's okay. All right. So next up, we've got his doom scroll interview. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna watch the full thing, but if you look at the timestamps, there's like a section about Dear Kelly.
Okay, yeah, we'll certainly watch that part. Okay, here's the derail.
Oh my god. Looks kind of pretty, huh?
Ooh.
Okay, that kind of looks fucking...
It's the best one yet.
That looks pretty good.
That looks greasy.
It looks really greasy, but it looks like it could be good. I don't know, I like the way it's presented. Okay, this is retarded, though. The rose.
Guess in the comments, I'll tell you on day 4.
Sausage rose.
Hey, we're not
of course.
Done, but they said you didn't have a food processor.
I know, right? Use the food
Dude,
processor.
when we meet up, we gotta like just like go on stream. And we gotta be like, yeah, we're eating this entire thing.
Banjo?
Give us $100 and we'll eat the entire.
Got notes.
I mean, Cryptid wants to pay me to eat this weird like fish mixed with chocolate. It's apparently like just horrible. So that'll be fun if that materializes. That's disgusting. Okay. Oh. Okay.
Oh my god.
I feel like I'm on the pit.
They kind of make it look nice at the end, but I'm seeing the process and I'm not liking it.
Yeah, I don't know if I assume there was like a tomato base underneath this, but if it's like Heinz 57, I'm not a huge fan.
I know, I can't. I'm not.
It's the best one yet. Dude, you gotta get one of these. Let me cut you a slice.
What the fuck? We may have hit the Wiener Max here. Just
okay. The Wiener Max, great. Thank you for that derail. I appreciate it. All right, let's look at this. Doom scroll. Okay. Maybe I clicked it twice because I'm stupid. It's fine.
So if you go to the
weird
description.
fucking fit. Okay, Dear Kelly and radicalization. What else? Film release, political fracturing, deplatforming and urban cultures.
Yeah, maybe we can go to the film release like
Yeah,
section or whatever later. But
it'll be short.
5. You mentioned at the beginning of the film that you had a why that you wanted to answer from your previous work, This Place Rules.
Yeah.
Tell me about this why.
I mean, the why is kind of like the pipeline between, like, how does a regular, otherwise normal person fall, like, really deep down the, in particular, conservative.
Dude, I hate this question so much. Give me the why. Why did you make this
alienates
film?
them from their
Why do you
families.
do things?
And I think I looked for easy
you mentioned
solutions
the
with the
why.
HBO thing. Like, oh, they're consuming this, like, this media source, or they're buying T-shirts from Enrique Tarrio, and they're, like, you know, wrapped up in this economy, or in information economy too.
Yeah.
But I think that what I learned through Kelly is that a lot of times, like a traumatic family situation, or like a chaotic or catastrophic economic event, oftentimes precedes that jump. So with Kelly, like, he lost his home shortly after the financial crisis because he took a loan from a guy who then seized the home as an asset when he couldn't pay back this $100K loan. And then for 3 or 4 years, his life was a revenge quest against this lender named Bill. And then that kind of doesn't work. Trump comes around and presents this, like, good versus evil spiritual warfare framework, and he was able to blend his personal tragedy and vendetta with, like, a grander spiritual one.
One of the things that I really appreciated about the early part of the film is that you propose, I think you call it Andrew's theory of radicalization.
Yeah.
What is Andrew's theory of radicalization?
Well, I mean, okay, so I said this, and I thought I was, like, kind of a genius when I thought about it, but then, so my theory was that the 3 core needs are security, significance, and connection.
Right.
Turns out there's actually a guy named Maslow who said something very similar.
Hierarchy of needs.
It's called the hierarchy of needs.
Right.
I think it's like the first
I didn't know
course you
about the
take in
hierarchy
college.
needs.
So everyone's like,
something I learned when I was like in the 5th grade.
I have never freaking heard of this in my life. This is so profound.
People who haven't heard of that, what Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
I don't even know.
There's no way you just... and you're just... Okay.
I mean, as soon as I said this is my theory, everyone's like, bro, nice try. You just ripped off Maslow. And I'm like, what? I don't even know if he's alive, but if you're watching, my bad. I didn't even know about that. Anyways, this all goes back to, like, the Flat Earth Conference back in 2019, which is, like, my first kind of, like, right-wing conspiracy event. And I know those are pretty typically overused buzzwords, but it's fair to call the Flat Earth a conspiracy as opposed to, like, a disclosure movement.
Sure.
Would you say?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Right.
What was that pause? That pause was so rape.
I don't even know what sort of question that is.
Dude, he was scared. He was scared to disappoint his Flat Earth viewers. he didn't know if he wanted to admit it. Yeah.
I was debating whether I wanted to make a shithead joke.
No. So when I was there, I'd like interview flat earthers, and, like, everybody that I talked to, most of the people in the comment section of the video, I'd be like, oh my God, this is my uncle. He hasn't been the same since that workplace accident. Or, like, this is my cousin. I haven't seen him in 4.5 years. Like, he started smoking this high-grade weed and the schizophrenic symptoms came in. Or there was always, like, some situation independent of politics and conspiracies that, like, came way before.
Right.
And I just kind of always had that in the back of my head, like, knowing that, but I never really had a chance to prove it or kind of see that theory out until I met Kelly at the White Lives Matter rally.
One of the reasons why I find this interesting, so I've spent the last few years interviewing young people who got politicized online by my own theory of radicalization. I think quite similar to yours. But this particular narrative has been, I would say, entirely absent from mainstream media.
Yeah.
Mainstream media seems to propose that because people are voicing opinions on the internet, that in itself is what radicalizes people, without any of these other contributing factors. So to spend a moment on this, security, can we dive a little bit deeper into that one? What does that mean?
So security is, like, typically, like, actual physical security, like having a place to stay, having a roof over your head.
Yeah.
Typically it means, like, the home, you know, like, just knowing that, like, when
It annoys me a little bit. I don't know if you feel the same way. It annoys me a little bit how he, like, treats this as, like, so profound. This, like, idea that, like, when you are in financial destitution and you're, like, doing badly in life, you're going to you have a higher potential of becoming, like, unstable. I mean,
the thing with all of this,
it's not
is,
revolutionary by any means.
I feel like if you digest any sort of psychology content or, like, metacognition content where they talk about why do people change their beliefs, I mean, like, every study has shown you change, like, something becomes much more convincing to you if it's, like, affecting you, right? And that's, like, the basic theory that he's going for, like if you just strip down like these 3 pillars, specifically, if you feel helpless and you feel like you're in a helpless situation, finding a worldview that says you are helpless because there's like, I don't know, an elite group of maybe 100 people and they run all of society. I mean, that's going to be appealing to you, right? So
true. I don't know. I don't like the way that he acts like it's revolutionary. Like he acts like
the big
he's
thing
the
I
person
think
who
about
came
this
up with
too
this.
is like this is not necessarily like how you even prove this theory. Like how you prove the theory, it's pretty boring. It's like you grab a bunch of these people who you think are affected, like quote unquote like radicals or whatever, and then you check how many of those people were like driven into a state of helplessness. That's how you do it. But like you just found one guy. That's like just trying to find like something that confirms your theory, right? Like
right.
And even then, I mean, he doesn't explain the full context of what this guy did. And in a sense, like the kids are like more right, like in this documentary, they give like a much better commentary on the state of like their dad, you know.
Correct.
When things hit the fan, you're gonna have a place to lay your head at the end of the night. It could also be like security in marriage, like you know that you have a faithful partner, emotional security.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at that as like mostly like a shelter and emotional safety thing.
Yeah.
Significance, which you have a podcast. I'm a documentary filmmaker too. For us, I think that's found in like the work that we do.
You feel purpose in the work.
Significance, like I work and I know that like I matter to at least my friends, my family. Whether or not you have fans, it doesn't matter. You can find significance in like doing charity work. But I think for most
being a
people,
parent,
right?
For a lot of people,
but for most people, it's in line with like who they are in the world. So for Kelly, his significance was like, dude, I'm a sick ass lawyer. I'm a high paid bankruptcy attorney. I'm the man. Like I help people. I win cases.
Yeah.
And then connection is like the most core emotional need. And I think it's the hardest to get because money can't buy it. So in that sense, it's very separate from the first two. And connection asks like, am I loved? You know, do people love me? Like, is there this, am I actually connected to my, friends, family? So like brotherhood, camaraderie, sisterhood, like having a family dynamic, sibling, all that is connection.
Yeah.
And money can't buy that. Like, some of the people with the most security and significance have the least amount of connection. So I've heard like billionaires having like high rates of depression and loneliness and isolation, and that kind of all tracks.
Which of these contributing factors, security, significance, connection, do you think is the most important?
I would say it depends how big your pride and ego complex is. I think that for people who lose significance, who have a lot of like, pride and self-mythology of themselves as like this alpha king of the world, I think that can lead to a lot of like a political psychosis in some people. Generally though, I would say that connection, the collapse of core connection, especially with your family and community, is what causes all radicalization. I think that...
Wow. What? The collapse of your community and... Okay. I don't really agree with that. I don't think it causes all radicalization. I think that's really stupid. But okay. Sure.
When Kelly lost his house, everything else kind of went under too. He lost his law license, so that was significance. His family had to, go from living in like a cul-de-sac, 3-story like McMansion basically to...
It's a pretty fancy house.
Yeah, to living in like Section 8 housing.
Wow.
In Anaheim.
That's a pretty steep drop.
Okay, I mean,
so
this
I
is
think
like...
Come on, man.
If you're going to say that you're not like, taking this guy's side or whatever, and you're
laying it on a
all
bit
these
thick.
claims... This guy owned a law practice. He used to own that house. And there was like stupid decisions he got into this like position by being like an asshole. Like, this is not a sympathetic guy.
No.
It's like, wow, there's like downwardly like mobile people that exist in society. Yeah, sure. I mean, that can be sad in certain circumstances, but if you're causing all of it, I don't really have like a lot of sympathy for you. I don't,
Okay, but
I don't
you don't
really
understand.
know what to say.
You don't understand. He got radicalized, dude. Okay? Come on.
True.
Like a fundamental obligation to provide for them, and when he couldn't do that, I just think he felt like the fabric of like society was almost breaking down. Because I didn't mention this in the film, but Kelly achieved what is considered to be the American dream,
right?
Which is class mobility.
Yeah.
He was raised in a trailer park in rural Ohio or Iowa or something like that, like a farm boy, and he was able to get into law school at Pepperdine and he was able to somehow work his way up to being a member of like an elite circle. You know, his neighbors were not people who grew up in the farms. They were all from Southern California, intergenerationally.
His neighbor
inherited.
was like the CEO of
Is
Taco
that his neighbor
Bell or
was
something?
the chief general counsel of Taco Bell.
Okay, yeah,
or some shit like that. You know what I mean? And I don't think that guy is from the farms of Iowa.
Right.
And so he was able to actually like do like the Reagan thing, you know, like born poor, like I'm here. And for that to be taken away from him, he felt like the American dream, which was never really a thing, being stripped away from him meant that something was fundamentally like rotten with society as a whole. And so this really simple framework of like angels and demons, you know, like just this nebulous force of evil that's out to rob the red-blooded, strong American patriot for everything they've worked for, molds well with what happened to him in his actual life.
Yeah. Was he conservative leaning before that? Like, to what degree would he
I mean,
be?
certainly not to the degree of, you know, approaching 70 Antifa dudes with 4 flags in hand yelling about Kobe Bryant.
Yeah,
but I think that I'm sure like he was socially and fiscally conservative, like probably low taxes, like stop giving out food stamps kind of guy.
Small business kind of
like
politics.
Say what you want type of dude.
Yeah. I appreciated that you wanted to address this stuff at the top of the documentary, and I felt that it was something that I wanted to see addressed more in This Place Rules, and you intentionally took the time at the top of this new film, Dear Kelly, to like explore
Can we
some
like
of those
skip to the? It's like almost at the end of the segment, right?
That's right here.
Yeah,
it's probably just promo if I had to guess.
Yeah.
plans for the release of the film.
Well, I mean, we're gonna keep it streaming independently for a while. The goal is to like at some point have a streaming service purchase it for like a year or two for them to put on their platform.
Okay.
But it's probably gonna be hard to do that just based upon how hard it's been to get the press to pay attention to us thus far.
These are kind of unpopular topics to bring up.
Unpopular topics and
legacy
also,
media channels.
We're getting sued over the movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so they
I think that's a little bit more like why people aren't picking this up.
Yeah, that's why. Like, you're getting sued, buddy.
Because then if we lose the lawsuit, and they're going to be liable as well. I think we're going to win the defamation suit, but still, like, they want that to be resolved way before they consider, you know, buying it for streaming.
Right.
So I think I have to settle the lawsuit, which might take like a year. But I think the movie might still be relevant in like a year. So we'll figure it out.
I mean, there's similar things that have happened to a lot of people, a lot of dads and uncles in the world. So, yeah, there will, I think, always be a demand for it. The one thing I've learned about this kind of material, this kind of world, it's not going anywhere. It's only getting more extreme.
Yeah.
If there's a young person watching now who's a fan of your content, is maybe around the age that you were when you first got introduced into political material.
Classic.
Where might you send them? What video would you suggest? What book might you send their way?
Damn, dude.
What sort of question is this? Do you think this guy reads books?
Damn,
like,
dude.
Did you hear the way he said that?
Damn, dude. That is such a good fucking question, man.
So that young person around the age that you were,
you should read How
so
to
that
Think
they end
by
up on the
David
right
J.
side of
Wright.
things
How to win
people change
friends
their
and
mind
influence
by-
people. That's what I recommend.
later in life.
I mean, it's a little cliche, but People's History of the U.S. by Howard Zinn was a pretty good.
Oh
good
my
example.
gosh! Okay.
Starting point.
Let's
for
go
being
to
a
another
really
video.
young person.
Oh my
He
gosh!
said, "I am
People's
done with this."
History of the United States. Yeah, shut up.
Okay, so next we have you
I
can't
don't know if
spell
this is-
Satan without NASA.
Yeah, I don't know if this is about like the recent stuff. We can.
I mean,
skim
this
through
has
it.
potential though to kind of go into the way that Andrew deals with this kind of stuff, where it's like this almost like soft, like this pursual and soft advocation of like this schizo bullshit. I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
I've got 5 key episodes of All Gas No Breaks. This was before Channel 5, right?
Yes. All Gas No Breaks is back. We bought it back.
There was a corporate fallout. You lost the label.
Yes, lost the label.
And then you got it back.
Yep.
Jan 2020, pre-COVID, the Flat Earth Conference.
Yes.
7 million views.
Really? It's a lot.
Yeah. It's very short. It's like, what, 8-9 minutes?
That's one of my favorite videos of all.
It's a classic. It's a great place to start.
Yeah.
How would you describe it?
Can you skim through
it's
this?
a Flat Earth conference.
I don't necessarily want to watch.
How
did you find out about it?
Area 51,
I was at the raid of Area
Flat
51,
Earth.
which was 90% content creators and 10% lost souls.
What about this community of
One of the
lost
lost souls
souls?
was like a divorced dad.
Yeah, maybe go through that. We'll see if it's relevant.
One of the guys wearing a and Watson Atkinson, who had been like canceled for
being handsy with a client in Brooklyn or something, and he was living in his RV and he was a newly converted flat earther. One of the guys wearing a truth shirt, or just the word truth on it. His car had truth on the side of it. He was disinvited from his family Thanksgiving because of his belief in different, Anunnaki-style theories.
Yeah.
There was comedian Owen Benjamin was headlining, and he had just been fired from Hollywood and kicked off of SNL, I believe it was, for anti-Semitic tweets. So
okay, so like literally all these people, he's like kind of just recalling how they view, like how they narrativize like their sort of fall from grace, right?
Right.
Like if you know anything about Owen Benjamin, that guy is just insane.
Yeah,
he went out to like live in the woods, and he doesn't think like what was like the latest conspiracy theory he like didn't believe in. Like he didn't think that like Arctic bears existed or like something. Like he's just like an insane person.
Yes.
Like, and he's like raising kids now or something, right? Or something. I mean, I don't know. He's just taking a lot of these people and he's saying like, oh yeah, all these people, they said some bad things and they're being like ostracized from society. A lot of these people probably are just like, they probably can't operate in society.
Yeah.
There's probably something deeper going on there than they believe in Anunnaki, therefore they've been disinvited from their family dinner.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who would do that, like to their family, like weird family member, unless they're probably insane and unhinged,
Yeah, so they have some other shit going on. Right.
Flat Earth Conference was sort of dejected.
Been through a crisis.
Been through a personal crisis.
A bit like Jan 6?
Exactly like January 6th. They were people who had been dejected in some way. And for whatever reason, they felt like the world was a battle between good and evil, and that they were on the good side of spiritual warfare. There's no accountability to be taken. They're just like, I got fucked over because I'm the good guy, and the world's ran by bad guys, and we're going to figure out who these bad guys are together. And they were looking for community because they had lost theirs, and community that validates their version of events.
A lot of them rap to quite a high standard.
Everybody raps.
What was that all about? I mean, even though it's like a 9-minute segment, it's almost like a rap musical.
Okay, let's go to
the role of music and rapping. Thanks so much, Louis Theroux. Very good.
Ethical filmmaking. Okay, this might be interesting.
All right, this might be good. This might be good.
Nighttime, talking to bums all night, drinking twisted teas, catching tags, climbing on bridges and stuff.
It's good stuff. That was Flat Earth Conference. It's crazy. So strange.
It was a great
time. Do you think it would be an obstacle to like for a while you're getting good content, you're like, this is great.
Yeah.
And let's get another one, and this is going to be amazing. And then you would be talking to them and thinking, actually, I don't think I could be friends with you because this would get in the way.
I'm down to be friends with...
Thank you for being a member for 5 months, Kitty. My uncle was a conspiracy nut. He was also a drug-addicted alcoholic who liked to assault people. Guess why he wasn't invited to Thanksgiving? Great point. Yep. Yep.
To everybody. And I don't think that it would get in the way, but there would reach a point where I would have to establish my opinion. Like if I was with a flat earther and the cameras are off, we're getting a beer or something, kicking it. Within 20 minutes, it'd be irresponsible for me to not be like, hey, dude, I don't believe in the flat earth. I believe in the spherical.
So did you not level with them while you were filming?
I would relate to...
Interesting. This is interesting. Because this kind of goes into what you and I were talking about earlier. With what I was saying about how it kind of felt like he was feeding into Johnson while the filming was going on, and he's almost doing this like post hoc rationalization afterwards, where he's kind of reflecting back on it and being like, "Yeah, but he's irresponsible."
Yep.
Interesting.
Questioning authority and questioning narratives, but I wouldn't be like, "I'm a flat earther, man. Let's do an interview," because that would just be too duplicitous for me. Especially nowadays with streaming culture, everything's live. You can't really do what you used to do.
There's one of the guys who's wearing a hat and you're going, Flat Gang.
Flat Gang, yeah.
Flat Gang.
That's a Chief Keef reference because if you're familiar with the Chicago drill artist, Chief Keef started in 2013 or 2011 actually. He would take these ecstasy pills called flats. Ecstasy is very popular in O-Block and in South Chicago. People don't know that, but those guys take ecstasy all day. I think it could have to do with PTSD, but it's also good for staying alert and being up, and it's not like cocaine where you have to use it every 30 minutes. You can take a flat, pressed ecstasy pill like a blue dolphin and be up for like 8 hours having a great time. Never taken one, but that's just my observation. So Chief Keef would say Flat Gang.
Okay,
say,
let's get to the next video.
I pop flats. So Flat Gang is a Chief Keef.
It's interesting. All right, so then we have this
Jubilee. Is the Jubilee video. And the reason why I put this on the docket is because I was watching this JJ McCulloch video, and usually I don't watch the guy. I think he's like got really bad opinions for the most part. But he did bring up an interesting point, which is that in this interview, in this Jubilee video, Andrew doesn't really debunk the 20 people, and usually what the person in the middle is trying to do is they're trying to give arguments against what these people believe.
Correct.
But the way Andrew goes about it, and to be fair, this is how you do things in metacognition, is that you don't necessarily give them the facts of the matter. What you do is you try to get them to a position where they understand why the reasoning is flawed. And so if they truly believe in something, once someone themselves actually understands, wait, I made a mistake in my reasoning, then it's like very convincing to them no longer to have that belief.
Right.
But what's interesting about that is you should have kind of both in sort of the back of your pocket. You should know the facts of the matter about something, and then you should also try to use this like softer approach when you're trying to change an individual's mind, right? And it seems like for the most part, he doesn't know anything about these conspiracies that these guys are talking about. So that's sort of what I found out like watching this.
Right. Wait. I just realized we can't react to Jubilee.
Oh.
You'll get like fucking raped and killed. I've gotten streams taken down in the middle of me reacting to them because I reacted to a Jubilee video. That was a good call on my part. Yeah, it sucks, but I can't. Oh, that actually sucks. Fine. This episode should be called Andrew Makes 20 New Friends. Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, in the comments, you can kind of already see this, you know? Because the way that he argues is, it's very much like, look, everything you could be saying is correct, but this thing I believe in is, like, way more important, right? And, like, he's trying to, like, get them to acknowledge that, which isn't really, like, arguing with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that right there was our Andrew Callahan coverage. There will be a video soon, okay? We're working around the clock, okay?
Yep.
And I haven't been streaming very long.
You could do another segment.
I wonder if
probably hop off.
Yeah, that's fine, man. Thanks for joining.
Yep, thank you. See you guys later. Bye.